In St. Louis, you're listening to TMA. It's 101 ESPN. The show's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, and it is also on the 101 ESPN app, the TMA STL app. Two different apps, Doug. But they're
count them, two.
They're 1, 2, and then also, of course, the Michelob Ultra YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/TMASTL. The Friday program is always hot and always bad.
Oh, well, I was thinking
There's a slogan right there.
It's always hot.
Always bad.
Always bad. Joey Vitale, though, will take us on his adventures through the bird community. Coming up in the Fisher Window and Door Store 8 o'clock hour. You're welcome to participate in the program by texting in 314-399-9646. Air Comfort Service, sponsor of the text inbox. And you can call in. Fridays are for phone calls. That's my credo. 314-974-0101. Get involved on the radio program. And Martin, maybe we'll bring back the exit poll.
Oh, an exit poll Friday.
Yes.
Would you? And then at the end, what kind of fry do you like?
I guess crinkle cut. Maybe some nice seasonings, though, please.
Does Buck Swope go back to day one?
Wow, that's a great question.
I'm wondering if he has like an example of an old exit poll.
The audio from the original Morning Grind, 2004, I believe, is limited to some CDs that producer Joe has. That's what I think. Whereas the last 15 years, that's all on...
On the dark web?
It's on the dark web. That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
I would like to see an exit poll, though, from the early day. Like, what were we asking the audience? And people would call in, and we would give them the poll?
Yeah, why can't we do that in 2025, Doug?
All right,
21 years later.
Workshop
Why would you call it an exit poll? Because people wanted to exit? It was so bad? Or
No!
you talk to them as they were exiting? Or why is it an exit poll?
Martin?
Because it sounded cool?
Right.
Just you put the word
And we were
exit in
tough
front
and
of
cool.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah,
trying
you want to take the
understand.
exit poll or what, pal? All right, let's do it.
Okay.
You just act like it's really important.
All right.
And say it in kind of a tough voice. Who do you want hitting fourth for the Pirates this weekend? And you just say it like in a commanding voice.
Yeah, we
All
mean
right.
business.
And
that
then
makes
on
it an
Monday,
exit poll.
yeah, and then on Monday the results meant nothing.
No, I wouldn't think they would.
That's exactly right. Well, I mean, now, for example, when we did the Navy road caps versus red road caps, we just tweeted out from the TMA STL account, and we're able to reach way more people than, say, take 20 phone calls over the course of a presentation. Doug, just another way in which social media has changed our lives for the better.
Yeah. What percentage of people you think would say it's been changed for the better? Because there are some who have certainly made careers out of it.
Absolutely.
But
I guess,
especially
would you say 6%?
yeah. I think
Great
it's been...
exit poll question.
Yeah, I think
What?
Nice. Martin's putting together this exit poll as we
All right.
speak.
I think it's probably really rough for teenagers. You know, when you worry about what everybody thinks about you and what they say about you, and now your worst enemy has license and a platform to say whatever they want. It's probably
But
pretty tough to
usually
be.
doing it behind a burner.
Yeah. Tough to be a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid right now with that, imagine.
Well, let's load them up. Clear them out, Doug. All these
Clear
people
the
that are-
line. Clear the lines.
Thank you.
Everyone on there now, get off. Clear the lines.
969 exit poll. Call in, and we'll take it. It is a phone call Friday before the big storms hit. Let's all just have a
What
community
is this
talk.
big storms thing? I see Sharon and Clayton wanted to give kind wishes. I don't know. I don't know what this is. She said, "Happy Friday, boys. I hope no one gets their car destroyed by the huge hail coming our way later today. Be weather aware." That's from Sharon and Clayton Starr, the Real Housewives of TMA.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had storms coming.
I heard something about that. Yeah, possible thunderstorms late.
I'm
this
supposed to be
afternoon.
ball striking. I mean, it's compression season around here.
I think the afternoon is supposed to be pretty stormy.
Really?
Worse to the south. Carbondale, Marion, sort of that way. But golf ball, baseball-size hail possible. In
God,
this
balls
area.
in the air at 2 p.m. I got to get. I got to
That
be
could be
peaking.
problematic.
I got to be peaking for the dotem. I got to be peaking.
Let's put the dome up for Timmy so he can play a round of golf.
Dome.
You think
That
they'll
way
get
Timmy
there
can play whenever he wants.
200 years from now? You think they can put some kind of dome over golf courses?
Yeah.
Martin, another exit poll question. This thing's really starting to come together. 214-974-0101. Timmy, our South City savior. Yeah, I've been called that before.
I don't know that's accurate.
Our Thursday night fuzzball league needs a team or three. Know any Hoosiers who'd want to play? That's from producer Joe's Ass Scap. Boy, I loved fuzzball back in the day.
Too.
St. Gabriel parking lot, Doug.
Good for your hitting, lousy for your throwing.
Yeah. Tennis ball, Martin, and a cork ball bat.
I love that.
Yeah,
You usually
that was the
go to a
greatest.
grade school that had a high wall. And
Yes,
if you put
that's
it on,
what we had.
You put it on the roof, and at the end of the year, the janitor would find like 60 tennis balls on the roof.
We didn't use a corkball bat because I lived in Kirkwood where we could afford real baseball bats.
Wow.
And so zip code shaming begins at 7:05.
And I thought to swing a full-size bat, that's what you're going to use in games, so you may as well practice with a heavier bat. But I understand in the city, you make do with what you probably threw bottle caps at the corkball bats.
Well, that was the wealthy kids.
Well, you've heard those stories, right, where they used to play throwing bottle caps?
For the life of me, when I would hear those
How does that
stories, I
work?
just figured they were made up. But
I did too.
now Sharon's giving weather reports. Get a life, old lady! That's from Sharon's Ladue pool boy, and I would imagine that would be considered insubordination, and he may be terminated.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's celebrity shaming is what it is.
Now that she's on The Real Housewives of TMA.
That's right.
We decided the worst parenting yesterday. Like sports parenting was sort of a topic yesterday.
And what wound up winning the ranking? Basketball, Jackson said, I believe.
That's what I voted for.
Did.
Just from my experience, those were the worst.
Yeah. And I know I went after Big Soda the other day. I think my biggest pet peeve at the corner gas station, convenience store, number one pet peeve is lottery lady.
Oh yeah.
A lot. Now, what's going on here? I don't know what this is.
The one in front of you has to go through all the scratch-offs.
Yes, I want to, in addition to a couple packs of Pall Malls, then it's, can I get 4 of those? Which one? Yeah. Oh, the purple panda. Yeah. No, two of the lucky wizards. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Give me one of the show me
brutal.
10s, and you're just standing there. Oh, for the love of God.
Trying to get a protein bar and a Sprite Zero, and it takes 25 minutes because someone's playing Monopoly at the front line.
And they're very cheap because the games are all different, Doug. Those scratch-offs are all different.
And no remorse for holding up a line.
No awareness.
And the poor employee knows it, but they only have one person there.
So I almost morph into basketball, baseball dad who yells at people.
Oh, do you?
With lottery lady.
Oh, wow.
Almost, let's keep it moving. Instead of calling it both ways. Got a place to be. Got an exit poll to do.
That's right.
Don't you imagine they all just go to their cars, start furiously scratching, lose them all, and throw them into the back seat?
No, I think it's a good strategy for making money.
It's
really?
positive EV. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, he's always talking about scratchers. We are in a 4 out of 5 for bad weather. That's not good, fellas. That's from Thrill Fan 22. Doug, what does that mean? We're in a 4 out of 5.
With 5 being almost the end of the world as we know it, 4 would be close.
What scale is that?
I am in my head.
It's a 1 to 5 scale, the severity, I think, of this.
So you're
storm.
aware of this? It's like a local news
I did
thing?
see
It's a real thing.
Glenn Zimmerman had a
I'm
graphic
going to
last night.
weather.com to get to the bottom of all this now.
And it showed the 5 was below us, like I was saying, in Southern
South.
Illinois.
Okay.
But
Like the Fujita scale, something like
we're
that?
right on the edge of, I think, about a 3 or so, which is pretty severe. So ball
and this is this
striking.
afternoon?
Yeah, I believe the debate was how early it started.
Heavy thunderstorms, 2 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
according to weather.com, which is highly recommended versus the iPhone weather app. Doug, do with that what you want.
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe there will be no ball striking. We'll just settle in and we'll watch the PGA Championship with one of the worst leaderboards that you could possibly imagine.
Who are they? Tim, you're a golf geek. Who are these guys?
I actually had Alex Smalley as a first-day leader along with Rasmus Højgaard. And I had a little sweat there with Smalley, and then Jonathan Vegas, God bless him, mounted a Sunday charge. I would be shocked if Vegas, Gerard, Davis, Hatton, Donald, Fox, Smalley, or Steven Yeager are your winner on Sunday. But then, alas, because of the mud ball situation that they have at Quail Hollow from all the rain in the fairways, Doug, what that does is it increases variance.
Okay.
And with increased variance, that opens the door to some friends perhaps many have never heard of before. And they're expecting the mud balls to continue. The PGA has decided they will not play it up. And so you can hit a good shot and have it go flying into the water, as we saw with Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele yesterday. And to Scheffler's credit, he is still -2, which puts him 5 back of Vegas. And even though he's 5 back, he is still the favorite to win at plus 350. Okay. Meanwhile, Min-Woo Lee, you might have seen my burners tweeting at him last night, holding him accountable for his +3. Min-Woo Lee is treading water. At the same time, he's right there with Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas. So I'm a little concerned. The Tam Avenue Capital Partners might have a cash call at some point right around the storms this afternoon.
Oh.
That's only our 17th cash call, though, of the second quarter. Thank you.
Hanging in there.
You combine that with the 5th mortgage after the Arenado staying on the team.
Thank you, Jackson.
Fiscal Tim.
Where are my haters now?
Now, the man's name is Jonathan, but it's spelled like Jonathan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Vegas.
Never mind.
But they call him Johnny Vegas. Is there a better name?
Johnny Vegas.
Johnny Vegas.
That's a good exit poll question.
Doug, is that Venezuelan or Venezuelan?
I just don't know.
Do you only do it like that when it's in Spain? Like Barcelona? Am I right?
Like
Chairman Kurt would know.
Maria Olazabal.
That's right.
They were saying Johnny Vegas, and I thought it was like a Van Pelt type nickname. They all call him Johnny Vegas. But I think it's spelled Johnnath. Johnath.
Yeah, it's spelled incorrectly.
Is it? Well, by all means, let him know.
He needs to fix that.
It's Johnatt.
Yeah, that's
I think
incorrect.
we should call him Johnny.
It's incorrect. Yeah.
It's incorrect.
I don't know what this is, but Doug, it's from one of our Design Air Heating and Cooling Email of the Day winners this month. She won on May 7th. That's a self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom. And she says, whenever I wake up and it's in the low 60s, I feel like my probability of intertwining my legs with Ruth increases after bridge. What a beautiful day today. Off to the club. That's from the self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom, and she's going to intertwine her legs with Ruth.
I don't think so.
I can't imagine that happens too often with Ruth. Ruth is a name that's a bit dated, but some of these names have made a comeback. Sure. Is Ruth one of those names? Jackson, do you have any Ruths?
Ozark kind of brought it back.
Yeah, Ruth often go by Ruthie. Heard that a couple times, but yeah.
You got some Ruthies at Horton Watkins in your class?
Not in my class, but in the school.
Really?
And then in college, doing a couple of Ruthies. There's some names making some comebacks.
Did they like to intertwine their legs?
I didn't conduct an exit poll, honestly.
See, Marty goes. There's another one for the exit poll. That's our third question. This thing's starting to really come together.
I don't think my grandparents' name of Elmer and Flossie will be coming back anytime soon.
I like Flossie quite a bit.
My sister's dog's name's Flossie.
Oh, no.
According to On the Bump, Ruth was the 172nd most popular girl's name in 2024.
102?
Not that.
What's number one?
Yeah, what is number one?
Give us a hint.
Hold on. It's probably something clever.
I hear a lot of Melissas out there.
Ooh, I'm going to...
This time, it's like, would it be Maeve? Let's see.
Olivia.
Yeah, it's a nice play, Chairman. Olivia. Give me 2 and 3, please.
Don't make this.
What an odd structure for the list. I just thought these would be right there.
I thought it'd be just 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, Olivia. 2,
3
Emma.
pages.
3, Amelia. 4, Charlotte. 5, Mia. 6, Sophia. 7, Isabella. 8, Evelyn. 9, Ava. And 10, Sophia.
I said that a little angry, I think, as we called them out on the name list.
Charlotte's number 4?
That's correct.
I don't hear a lot of Charlottes.
Well, that's because they're called Lottie. Check this out. Lottie Dottie. Lottie Dottie.
Glad I had a chance to check that out.
80. I'm going to say 85, but that's a guess. Maybe 0.1% of your bankroll. Just kind of a fun little play before Alex Smalley gets out on the golf course.
Lottie's probably at the club.
1986.
So I shipped it. That was good. Number 1 bottom boy name is Kai. That's from the recovering alcoholic from Belleville and Webster Groves. Jackson will be heading to his wedding in about a month. But you could hear how upset the Plowhawk was when he was on that Jackson is not coming to his wedding, so much so that the Plowhawk encouraged guests to RSVP to not come to the wedding.
He was rooting for some more declines, he said.
I just ran into Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel at a quick trip on Lee May, and he said this time tomorrow the arch will be floating down the Ole Miss, and St. Louis will be wiped off the map. That's from a bad coach.
Gosh. There's a QT in Lee May.
That's what Doug took out of that.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything after that because I like me a QT.
Doug, you should see Ruth. She's 54 and like 92% plastic. She still grins like a monster, though. That's from the self-made stay-at-home Ladue mom.
Okay.
92% plastic.
I saw a report the other day that said part of our brain, a small part, but parts are now microplastics.
Oh, nice.
From all the plastic that we have in our food systems, packaging and whatnot.
Happy Friday,
It's refreshing to see rich white women.
Martin, would that be considered food shaming?
Doug is the food Nazi.
I'm telling you, you missed it yesterday when B. Halls brought in the wingy. I
had a
how
dilemma.
many wings do you think they brought
God,
in?
a couple hundred?
Yeah, for real. I do think it might have been a couple hundred. And it was a wing party in here. You just missed it, and I got to tell you,
they were
the people who texted in about B. Halls, they were not playing.
So I had a dilemma. I was heading out to take care of important matters, and then I met Wingman in the
Oh,
lobby.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you texted
And
me.
he had a giant box of wings. Crate.
He did.
And I felt bad, too, because the elevator's out, and I thought, God, this poor guy lugged that up the stairs. I could offer, to like help carry it down to the studio. Then I'm like, fat guy who just hangs around because there's food. And I was thinking, I'm really going to miss out here, but I already said goodbye, so you can't really come back. Although Jay Leno left, Doug, did he come back?
He did. Yeah, it was
I
in
think he
2009, the Conan O'Brien thing, and now Conan O'Brien's making more money than ever before.
Wow. But I did meet Wingy guy, seemed super nice, and I just kind of had a little tear in my eye like the Indian on that pollution commercial, and I walked away, and he went this way with the food.
Boy, they were warm. They were hot.
His phone blew up. And we started talking about bee-halls.
Well, the people did. I honestly had never heard of it. And, man, we got a lot of texts about that place, and they're no joke. Chairman, what was that little device that he wheeled in, keeping the food so warm and choice?
We called that a Cambro back in my barbecue days. Cambro. And it'll keep that thing piping hot for a good long while.
They give you 10 nice-sized fritters.
Well, yeah, it was more than 10. Yeah.
Yeah, then I tortured myself because then I listened and I heard you guys talking about the Carolina sauce.
Bill. Tangy is what
They
the
never
chairman
feed it
described.
on boarding.
There might still be some left. They probably put them in the fridge. There was a whole bunch of them.
I doubt it in this
Oh, they're in the
industry.
refrigerator? Is that what they
I don't know. I hope someone did after we shared them with the rest of the station.
Most of the short-term, finer detail models show severe storms developing just west of St. Louis early afternoon. These would be capable of all severe weather types. Winds over 80 miles an hour, hail over 2 inches in diameter, and tornadoes. But there are several of the longer-range models that don't develop the storms until they are past us. That's from the 618. Doug, that's like a smart person.
It really is.
Yeah, what's the deal here?
They had
wrong
some
show, bro.
Problems up in the Chicago area last night, didn't they? Wisconsin had a tornado, I think. Part of Chicago got hit hard.
And Cardinals are over in Kansas City. Are they expecting to get storms? I crowdsource.
I would imagine that the game will start too late for them to have any issues.
Anybody rolling that way already? But I would
Yeah,
like
if
we'd
you're
like to
on
hear
your
from
way to
folks.
Columbia,
If you're
in
driving to
Kansas
Winnipeg,
City.
we have you call us. If you're driving to Kansas City, we'd like you to call us.
I have a question.
I'm taking questions. Doug is not. Martin
Jackson.
will on a case-by-case basis.
Have all three of you, Chairman, you two, been to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City?
I have. I'm sure, Doug, you have?
Driven by. I've never
You haven't
actually
been to a
in
game
it.
there, really?
I've never been to a game
Martin,
there.
I'm sure you have.
Only in 2021. It had been a long time.
Wow.
And then Joel Goldberg, my buddy, has worked there since 2008. And every year they come to a game, I'm like, I need to get over there. And 2021, I went. It was lovely.
So I was about to ask, everyone says it's really nice. To me, like when I see pictures or on TV, it looks really crummy. Like, what is...
Crummy?
It just doesn't look like it has much. It's like, why? There's no, like, shade or anything. The outfield has nothing. There's no, like...
Very open.
Yeah,
Shot
okay.
at the fountains out of nowhere.
The beauty of that design is that there are no limited view seats as there are in our own Busch Stadium.
Gotcha.
You sit upper deck near the foul poles at Busch Stadium, you can't see part of the outfield.
Right. Okay.
Guy can hit a home run. You don't know it. If it's, under you.
Yeah, I wasn't giving a take. I was curious. I was curious
Very
what
takey.
makes it cool that I just don't see on television. Like you look at
The
PNC
fountains
Park
help.
or San Francisco, it's like, yeah, I can get why that's cool. I just don't get the same.
As I recall, you could walk all of the circumference, I believe. And I like being able to walk around a whole park.
Sure.
I don't like how you can't circle. I think at Busch, at one point, they stopped letting you go on that upper deck and cut it off. But the waterfalls, it is kind of an old school design.
It's one of those ballparks also like Dodger Stadium that's down below the ground.
Yeah.
I can't think of other parks that are like that. I guess
Big House in
I was about
Michigan.
to say Big House in Michigan. I know that way, but you park at Dodger Stadium, and then you're even with the upper deck, and then you go in. And of course, the ballpark is, I guess, I don't think it's related because it was built in what is called Chavez Ravine, but it is below the parking lot, at least behind home plate.
Well, it's weird because you could be in the bleachers and you're really low, like in the parking level, and if you're behind home plate, that is the upper deck.
You're way up.
So you literally would have to. It'd be a pretty good walk up a hill if you park behind center field, but wanted to enter behind home.
Nice take, and then he uses a different name for Jackson, a name that I think is restricted by the Federal Communications Commission. That's Harrison's Brother Master. Harrison's Brother Master, am I your member guest or not? Because I'm up to a 5.5, and it's perfect timing for member guest season. Very dangerous.
Okay.
Madison Hedgecock, Martin, you remember him?
45, maybe? Fullback,
snapper?
North Carolina?
He's texting into the show. And he says it's the view of the bombed-out Adams Mark Hotel across I-70 that makes it so magical. That's from Madison Hedgecock, former St. Louis Ram.
Used to be a
And then maybe with the
beautiful
Giants.
hotel. Yeah, I stayed there once for a Rams game.
That's what my theory
bombed
is.
out now?
The Royals need to move to downtown. This is my Kansas City take, which I shouldn't have. It's none of my business. Put the Royals Stadium. I love those designs. I like a good rendering. Put it downtown, and then turn that whole parking lot there into some sort of Chiefs Kingdom, like a shopping mall where
It's not a bad call.
People would probably go year round and hang out at the Chiefs Kingdom, and it could be residential.
Or if the Chiefs want a new stadium, build that right there.
Yeah. But make that area
you play
the
an Arrowhead
Chiefs.
until the new one's done, kind of like the Cardinals did with Quinn.
Fesco doesn't agree.
Yeah,
make that their
Carlos for 6
domain.
months. Is that feast for fats in 2 weeks at the Dotem not enough for you heavies? You need a couple 100 wings on a Thursday morning, too? This is why we show up on that U.S. News fat list. That's from Little Tommy Tribbins. Martins, he's a 5-year-old kid who rides a trike around the parking lot out here. He's a neighborhood kid, and he texts into the program. Little Tommy Tribbins is his name.
I'll be honest, I ate those wings for lunch and dinner.
Oh, so you took some home? Oh,
Did
dog.
you really?
Yeah.
Oh, Doug.
How many did you have
I
over
thought
the
you
course
said
of
we
the
put
day?
them in the refrigerator for the rest of the station, and now all of a sudden it sounds like we got a wing thief in the building.
We put them out for the rest of the station, and then right about the time where it was getting to the point where it was in the what they call the danger zone of possible botulism, I wrapped up a plate of, I think I did a 6-piece, and I threw it in the fridge, and I took it home. So
If
I
you're
took
hungry
home
enough, you
6.
don't worry much about botulism.
You should.
How many wings did you take home, bro?
6 piece.
That's it?
A 6-piece wing
Yeah,
dinner.
6 wings. That'll do.
What was your favorite flavor, boy?
I liked the Carolina. That's like my kind of go-to barbecue sauce.
Is it
It's
really?
like a mustard-based barbecue sauce, and that one was really good. It was zesty.
Harrison's Brother Master on this member guest says, Tim, going to be out of town for my member guest this year. It's my wife's 40th. I'm really sorry. I already told her how mad I was. It's from Harrison's Brother Master. So I guess I'm available the weekend of whatever club he's at. I assume St. Louis.
Yeah.
So that makes me available for St. Louis's member guest. So
I mean, it's quite obvious at this point someone is being lied to.
I don't know who that is.
Out of town.
what do you mean by that, Jackson?
It's convenient.
You just don't think he's a member anywhere.
No, I know that I think I've had a correspondence with Harrison's Brother Master before.
Really? Is that
Yeah.
right? And he's still on your Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, big time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, listen, the way you conduct yourself, it's a reflection of your character. But I did have a correspondence with him, and he was pleasant enough, and I do believe he is a member somewhere.
Only 6 wings? He should eat 10 or more like a man. That's from Carlos Spicy Wiener.
Well, there was still people probably nibbling at a wing or two later that day, so I didn't want to take too many. And 6 is enough. I mean, they're bigger wings and they're breaded too, so it fills you up a little bit more.
Yeah, I would think.
Plus, I had some vegetables at home, so
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
Broccoli?
green beans, my favorite vegetable.
Huh. You like a legume?
Yeah, big. Oh, well, I don't really eat peanuts, but yeah, I like green beans.
Are beans legumes?
Beans? I guess some beans probably. I don't know.
If you eat 6 wings for dinner, you are officially a dainty little man. That's from the Crystal City Clam Hammer. Doug, somebody will take the name Dainty Little Man on June 1st when Jackson will allow people to update their names.
So
and
you're
your comfort zones
mocked
take
for not eating more, and the rest of us are mocked for eating too much.
Well, did this gentleman not hear about the green beans? That was a full meal.
I like Doug's idea yesterday. If we just mention chicken wings and they show up at the station, Doug said, boy, I wouldn't mind some crab legs and lobster. And
Wonder who makes the best filet
Steak.
mignon in town.
boy, Call in. 969 Steak.
314-974-0101. Air Comfort Service text inbox 314-399-9646. And, of course, the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, where 164 friends were already gathered this morning talking it over. Doug Bobo Brazil's in there talking
I remember
to
him on Wrestling at the Chase.
Yeah, the Bridgeton landfill fume huffer, and Too Fat to Kayak is in there talking to John Scores. So and he says Kansas City always gets crappy weather. Is Kansas City known for having bad weather? More so than other places? I feel like Cincinnati is for fantasy baseball purposes. I feel like Cincinnati always has rain.
Kansas City is really windy.
The Hawks always up?
I don't know if it's always up. I remember playing a baseball game there in college where they made us play without our hats because everyone's hat kept blowing off. So they said, all right, nobody wears a hat. It's kind of weird. But the wind comes off the Kansas plains there, and they get hit pretty hard with wind, I think.
You lose any balls in the air because you didn't have a hat?
If I lost a ball, I would have claimed that was the problem, yeah.
Can Jackson eat chicken without spontaneously rubbing the feet of the nearest mother like some sort of Pavlovian response? That's from our texture of the year in 2023 and 2024. The name is Arbor Day.
Yes. I would say chicken. If we're talking 21 meals, I don't eat breakfast all that time. So let's say 15 meals a week. I'd say chicken is a 7 or 8 times a week, maybe even 10. I eat chicken a lot. I think most people.
But that wasn't the question.
Right. Well, the question was so ridiculous that I felt answering it would give it some credence, and I'm not going to be doing that.
Was it Wade Boggs who ate chicken like for every meal?
I believe so. It was like a superstition, kind of like what Joey Vitale said about Sidney Crosby in that song for a while.
Oh, yeah.
What was the song?
Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine.
Yeah, I like that. And then Wade Boggs drank 30 beers on a cross-country flight. We had Jeff Nelson on, who played for the Cardinals briefly, former Yankees pitcher.
Yeah.
He came on the show with me and Goldberg and confirmed the story about the beers. He said, it wouldn't be all at once. He said, but over the course of a 4-hour flight, he said, you'd have 3, 4, 5 Miller Lights, and he'd have 3, 4, 5 more Miller Lights. And by the end of the flight, he'd crush like a case. Good God.
Tim, it's a beautiful morning. Please hop on the ferry and take a trip up to the Illinois Peninsula this weekend and be with my wife. Thanks. That's from Scott's Wrinkled Ballsack. Doug, we have met her. She is lovely. I would tell you she's more interested in Lisa Ann than anybody. They really hit it off. Was that at Maggie O'Brien's in Sunset Hills in 2023?
I'm not sure where they hit it off.
Yeah. Wow, that was intense. I've never seen chemistry like that.
That was a moment.
You saw it too?
Yeah. I mean,
forget about it.
Impossible to miss.
Wow.
You don't miss a solar eclipse.
I mean, Lisa Ann saw her, and she is a nice-looking lady. And she dialed in. I don't know why she wasn't attracted to the male listeners. and they were trying to arrange something. And then Scott's Wrinkled Ballsack showed up to the Dotem in the minivan with a few kids, and Lisa Ann wasn't as attracted then, which I think is a shame. What's not hot about a minivan full of children? Think about that. Yeah. You're welcome to call in. Martin's got an exit poll. You had 3 questions that we got so far.
I had written
it was
down,
usually 5 or 6 questions.
Do you think we'll ever have a dome over a golf course?
Right.
What percentage of people's lives improved with social media? Best sports name other than Johnny Vegas, which is now taken. I feel like there was a 4th. I may have
Favorite vegetable?
Favorite vegetable. Okay. We're up to 4.
Yeah, I like where we are right now. Chairman Steve's on the Callier and Thompson phone line.
I was going to say we haven't heard from him in a while.
Well, Pestis is omnipresent, Martin. So anytime you want to hear from Pestis, he's there. Chairman Steve's 2023 Listener of the Year, and he is on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. Chairman Steve, good morning. You're on with Jackson Burkett. How about that, Doug? How about that enthusiasm on a wonderful Friday morning in St. Louis?
All right, calm down, Steve.
Don't be too bad. It's Doug's big channel and the 2 Fox. All they do is talk about weather for the ratings. They try to scare everybody and get you to watch. It's a bunch of BS.
Oh,
so you do not believe the weather is going to be that bad today, Chairman?
It's all south. So, I mean, maybe it'll be bad down there, but I mean, I guess it's part of the viewing area. I don't know, whatever. I don't worry about
Meteorologist
weather.
Steve checking.
Lives don't matter unless you live in the greater St. Louis area?
Yes. No, Doug,
Okay.
I don't mean that. I mean, we're going to be okay. But I think when you did the poll, the exit poll, And I don't like how you say exit, Martin. You say exit. Exit. It's exit.
It.
There you go. Thank you.
That's a good question, isn't it?
All right.
Go to hell.
Bob Costas scolded you because you put Claire McCaskill in the would you category. Do you remember that?
Well,
Not
there's some
really.
things that we did 21 years ago that we wouldn't do in 2025.
No.
And by we, I mean me. I think Martin and the cat were kind of innocent bystanders going, oh, my God.
We
this
would kind
guy.
of mumble the list.
Yes, that's exactly right. But I played St. Louis yesterday.
Did you really?
Orson Woods-
Look at this
Orson
effing guy, huh,
Woods
Doug? How about this guy? Chairman Steve's a St. Louis member.
Who'd you know?
With I bought it at the auction. Me and Don Fanucci, we bought it at the auction, Iggy's auction.
Megan Meyer found it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were old money in St. Louis.
So then, actually, it was the first time I played it, and the Wacko and his cousin, and then Don Fanucci, who's from St. Charles, so he had to get a special pass.
Yeah. But that was tough.
Got to get through customs just to play.
Yeah, I think you have to wear a credential at all times.
Yeah, I think we had the worst four caddy ever, and he admitted it too. This kid, yeah, he was terrible. But his dad was the skate coach for the Blues, which was interesting. I birdied 6. I had a 290-yard drive.
You had a 290-yard drive?
Come on.
That's what
You didn't.
the four caddy said. The four caddy told me that.
290.
You just said the four caddy was bad at his job.
He was, but the hole was 313 yards. I was probably
23 yards.
just off the green. I was just off the green.
How about this guy,
So,
Doug?
and then
Was it all straight downhill or something?
Doug, will you listen for a second? Quit interrupting.
Okay, don't tell me what to interrupt.
I chunked the chip, so I hit it like 3 feet, and then I was like, screw this. I'm going to Texas wedge it. I putted it there, and it rolled right in.
bird?
Putt.
Wow.
Nice birdie.
Yeah.
We're not going to go hole by hole, are we, Steve?
Doug wants him to do the front 9 in the 7 o'clock hour, back 9 in the 8 o'clock hour.
Actually, these richer country clubs, they name every hole. So that hole was blind. There's a hole called Preparatory. There's a hole called Ladue. There's a hole called Log Cabin, Oasis, Double Plateau. I'm sure they love that I played there.
I thought you'd never be allowed back just for mentioning.
Yes, exactly. Punch Bowl is one of the holes too. So
Doug, that's the storied. Is that number 2 or number 3?
I don't know. I don't. You lost me after the
Punch Bowl is number
290-yard
5.
drive. You know, you're hitting drives like as far as the PGA players.
No, they hit it like 350.
Well.
Come on, 290 would be like Champions Tour material. Or
I don't know about that. I don't think that.
Yeah, what do you ever watch, Doug?
Yeah,
They hit it like-
the leader, I'm looking at the stats right now. The leader on PGA Tour is hitting at 323. That's
Is that
the top
Aldrich
guy.
Polkgeeter?
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
323 is the leader.
Aldrich Polkgeeter?
But Doug, some of them, they're not trying to hit it 350 yards. But like when it opens up and they can hit it as far as they want, all of them can hit it more than 323, I would think, or most of them.
Oh, that's a long way.
Wouldn't you say, Tim?
I don't think all of them could, but I would say the majority of them can absolutely hit it over 300, yes.
The ones they show on TV, because the good ones they always show on TV, and then the ones who they don't want to show on TV, they don't. So
Jackson, there's been a request for the buzzer.
G-Unit out, home slice, with the dice.
There's a lot of anger in the text inbox.
Steve,
it's
would you
one thing
like
to talk
more?
about the PGA Championship. It's another thing for a guy to call in and talk about his birdie at a local golf course.
Steve, can I offer you
especially St. Louis Country Club.
Would you care for a bleach omelet?
I will. What I'll do is I'll put my name on a show, and then I can come in and bore you guys to death for once a week.
What's wrong with your phone line?
Oh, gosh. All right, anything else, Steve?
Oh, that's dangerous.
Playing the Dotem on Friday.
All right, excellent.
Okay. Why don't you put together a team and play on Thursday as well?
Too much, Doug. Too much. I like a Friday. I like a Friday round.
Okay.
Then I can eat and drink to my heart's content.
Okay.
But I hope you guys have enough food. I hope you guys have enough beer.
Don't steal any pizza.
Yeah.
I won't do that. I do know the culprits. I don't think they're signed up for the event.
Oh,
so
is
there
that
won't be
right?
any thieving.
Yeah, that's right.
There
Steve
won't be
actually
any
does know who
thieving.
stole the pizza.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, that was like Cassidy. All right, Steve, thank you. It's Chairman Steve, Doug.
No buzzer.
Calling in with a birdie on number 6 yesterday after 290-yard drive.
I was wondering about that.
Not a popular call. Mr. Lick says 6 is literally the easiest hole on the property, and there's nothing that sticks out more than 3 guys who show up at a country club who obviously are only there because they bought it at an auction and they otherwise could never get on. That's from Mr. Licks.
I am surprised it's even available at an auction, to be honest with you.
Especially that particular
Well, that's what I'm
club.
saying.
There's others that would certainly.
Well, they did a nice thing, and they helped
did.
raise some
And then
money.
he goes out there and he pumps 290-yard drives and birdies them, even after chunking a chip. Tip of the cap. This
shout out.
Chairman, he's trending.
Shout out to St. Louis Country Club for always giving back.
Drop off some memberships.
If you want, we're here till 10 or 11. If you want to swing by
Some
with
bag
a
tags.
crate of memberships, I'll help you lift them up the stairs. The elevator's out, Tim, and the sign isn't all that friendly. It just says stairs to the right. It doesn't say, like, sorry for the inconvenience.
Good on my club for being so charitable. That's from the self-made stay-at-home Ledoux mom. Today, Jackie, buzzer this guy. This is a new low point for the show. I'm playing Tower T this morning. I'll call in Monday with my shot breakdown. Get this human rain delay off the phone. That's from Waffle Fries.
Okay.
Guys, about as entertaining of a call as to the Paul Feinbaum show. That's from the 636. Hey, Steve, you going to be at church on Sunday? That's from the recovering alcoholic from Belleville and Webster Groves. I need to prepare the elements, so I was wondering if you could sit with Ash, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. That's from the recovering
What does all
alcoholic.
that mean?
If you're from St. Charles and go to St. Louis Country Club, they make you pull over into a small driveway where they power wash the window decal of Calvin urinating on the Chevy logo off your truck and remove your Yosemite Sam mud flaps. There's a private lot where they remove. That's
It
from
must
Arbor Day.
be. I don't think they'd lie about that.
I guess it's a good use of Ledoux real estate. You're welcome to text in as well. 314-399-9646. The program is brought to you by Brown & Crouppen. Brown & Cruppen's online at brownandcrouppen.com, or you can call them at 314-222-2222. Presenting sponsor of this program is Brown & Crouppen. Terry Crouppen in earlier this week. They're St. Louis through and through. Founded in St. Louis in 1979. Located in new offices on the Hill. It's Brown & Crouppen. If you're in a spot where you're going to need a personal injury attorney, don't you want somebody who's local? Well, that's Brown & Crouppen. They are local. Proud of being founded in St. Louis and still operating in the city of St. Louis. Online at brownandcrouppen.com or call 314-222-2222. It's Brown & Crouppen. Remember, the choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. The program is called TMA. Joey Vitale coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. This is the Morning After on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. right, St. Louis, let's have a great Friday out there.
Yeah.
It's TMA 101 ESPN. Show's presented by Brown and Crouppen. You can watch it on YouTube. And Jackson's not happy with the YouTube today?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
This camera angle makes my hair look terrible. I'm not wearing a ball cap, and everyone's giving me guff.
You like that term, Doug? Guff?
Who are these ruffians giving you guff?
YouTube chat.
Shut them down. Block them all.
It's the player to be named later who says, can someone please do something about Jackson's hair?
What are we supposed to do?
I was combing this morning. I was like, come on, baby. Come on. And then right when I get first segment, my nightmare was realized.
There's nothing wrong with your hair.
It's the angle. I have light hair on the top. I have light hair everywhere, but the top of my head especially. And so when the light hits it, it looks really, really translucent and clear, and it's bad. It stinks.
I don't think it's as bad as you think. I've been telling you that ever since I met you.
I know, but it's just, man.
I mean, it's fine. Powder, it's fine. Don't worry, it's fine. We could close the blind before the storms hit the sun's out.
I like looking at that. I like how beautiful the
cell tower.
Well, just the
staring at it.
The landscape,
Seeing some greenery.
Yeah, it looks like a Windows 94 background, screensaver.
Yeah. You need a little light because there's such darkness on this computer screen.
Could you get some male hair extensions? Would that help you?
No. Sometimes when people have kind of thinning hair and they have darker hair, they kind of like marker up the scalp.
Yeah, that's a tactic.
Yeah,
little sprinkles.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I would do the sprinkles back in the day. Thinning. Yeah.
I don't think it works.
The whole thing, Propecia, sprinkles. It's a turn on. If you want like an aphrodisiac for a woman.
The whole production, man.
Hold on a second. I got to go take my Propecia.
Oh, yeah.
And sprinkle some hair in.
What about spray on?
And on top of it, I'm 5'1".
Not a good day. What about spray on hair? I always wondered, would that wash out in the rain? That was a thing for a minute. Spray on hair.
Yeah.
Probably would.
I felt like that was an infomercial. A gentleman would just take a can and just start spraying his head.
We probably did some live
For a new friend of the show. Guys, did you see the news that sports betting in Missouri will not be here until December 1st? Last day they can possibly do it. Bunch of idiots in Jefferson City. That is from the 573. And we were talking about that before the program, and that news came out here within the last 24 hours. Doug and I read, Missouri regulators on Thursday began accepting applications for sports betting in the state as they race to write rules and launch the program before the December 1st deadline set in a voter-approved law. The Missouri Gaming Commission this week voted to advance rules allowing wagering in casinos, near sports stadiums, and online. State application forms went live Thursday. The commission plans to finalize rules by August 30th and hit a December 1st deadline to begin allowing sports betting. It is literally the last day that they could do it after the vote in November of 2024.
The headline says Missouri begins accepting sports betting applications. Begins. Are we really this far into the process and we can only start accepting applications?
It is, I mean, from your most popular time of year to be wagering, of course, is the football season. So college football will be virtually over, and the NFL season will be 75% of the way through. And so it is incredibly unfortunate. New Secretary of State Denny Hoskins rejected the commission's bid to use emergency rulemaking to expedite the process. Hoskins had derailed sports betting legislation while he was a state senator by insisting on tying it to bills legalizing slot machines outside of casinos. That was his big cause. So there you go. That's what's going on.
All right. It's hard to believe that one guy who's not the governor or the president could stand in the way of so much. That's what he's done, apparently.
We've never had him on, right? We played clips. He talked to
your guy, Andy Banker from the Two Fox, who will be at the Dotem, has been on top of this.
He's covered this story. I think he did a half-hour special.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Yeah, at one point. And Hoskins he is the Secretary of State, and he said it was not a person. Didn't he say it was not personal? It was an interpretation of the law. But it seems like maybe it's not. Maybe there's more to it. Like it's commerce, right? And people voted for it.
Yeah.
Get it done. If the people voted for it and it's going to bring in money, what are we waiting for?
It kind of feels like he's the only one against it. Like everybody else is, all right, let's go, let's do it.
A number of people on the TMA fan page on Facebook, which Jackson does a wonderful job of moderating. I mean, you're up to 175,000 a year for moderating that thing? Is that 175, 176?
Yeah, that's the base.
Did
you find that on Indeed?
Yeah, there's
bonuses.
I get 1/10 of a cent every comment.
Is that
so
the case?
I really try to.
He's an engagement farmer now.
Yeah, I'll post like I don't know about you guys, but I think the St. Louis is better without the NFL, and then just kind of wait.
Wow.
Let it kind of marinate.
That's an engagement farming
So
move.
for every 10 comments, you get a penny.
That's correct. That's
a little
exactly
clicky
right.
cash for you.
That's exactly right. But I saw in the thread talking about this yesterday, there are some people who really believe that the reason for the delay is an effort to try to get this thing overturned in some capacity. Now, I don't know how that would work. The only other time I've seen the will of the people not acknowledged in the St. Louis area is when the Cardinals ignored the Navy cap vote a decade ago.
And far more serious.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it.
It affects more people, for sure.
That's what we get for voting in politicians that are adamantly against the policies that we want. You got to love the big MO.
That's from the 3-1 form.
So somebody voted in the guy who works to fight against the will of the voters.
Yes. The people.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. So December 1st is when you will be able to wager if you are in the state of Missouri, at least theoretically. Like I said, there are some who believe that it's not necessarily as done of a deal as one would expect, because when it was voted last November, I don't think too many people thought it was going to take until December 1st. But alas, here we are. And of course, December 1st, 2025, 13 months after the fact. You're welcome to give your thoughts on it, 314-974-0101. You can also text in, Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Get involved in the program and email in as well, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. That is how you can participate in the program. Cardinals over in Kansas City. And it says in the Stiefel dossier here, Martin, which features Joey Vitale coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, I am 100% stealing this question from hashtag Marshy and his playful posse. Jackson, is that your acknowledgement that you're stealing a question from Marshy Marsh?
Yeah, I was with him yesterday or the day before. And he was prepping for his show, and he started writing the question. I go, I like that question, and I said, I'm going to steal it. Yeah. So the question is, do you think the Cardinals are currently playing at their ceiling, or is there still another gear to go?
I like that. What if Gorman and Walker hit? Is that the next gear?
I guess you could say that would be the ceiling, But
I would say they're as close to the ceiling as possible. Right. I think there are a lot of takes that have been spit within the last week locally that people might want to have back in a couple of weeks. That's my theory.
Too excited, you mean? A little too excited?
It's like, where are all the John Mazalak haters now? That kind of thing.
I think even Mo would say, well, it's a little early.
Well, he would say privately, he'd go, we were trying to cut money, and we had publicly said that this isn't necessarily about 2025. This is about reestablishing our talent evaluation and pipeline of younger players for a sustainable business model. Now, I realize they also said they were going to try to trade Nolan Arenado, and that didn't happen, but it wasn't for lack of effort. So there's a little bit of revisionist history. I like to hearken back to the 2021 trade deadline when the Cardinals had run out of arms and they acquired John Lester and Wade LeBlanc and who else? There was another guy.
J-Hap.
Yes. Yeah. And then they wound up pitching well, and it's like, see, that was a great move. And Mazalak was like, we were trying to get to the end of the season because we were blowing up young players' arms by stretching them out so much. Listen, I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I think. So, Doug, I have a moral obligation to the audience to say what I think.
I think their pitching is about at its ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't think their starting pitching is going to get a lot better.
Or bullpen,
I think they can hit better. There's possible they could hit better. Yeah. There's some guys hitting below what you would expect them to hit. Yeah. Again, as Martin said, especially Gorman and Walker. Those two guys, it wouldn't stun me if they finally kind of got it together.
God, I hate to say it.
They're not
I think it might be stunned at this point.
I think I kind of would be.
Well, they're not going to stay in the major leagues if they continue to hit 173 and 180.
Weirdly, their
something.
offensive ceiling might be better if they do send them out.
Yeah.
Because then they can put players in there who can, I mean, Gorman didn't play in that much, but specific to right field, who can actually produce offensively. So there's a roundabout way of saying the ceiling can improve.
Yeah, the bullpen is probably about at its peak efficiency at the moment, I guess. If there's any room for improvement, for a realistic improvement, I would say they could probably hit a little bit better.
Do you consider this Royals series a measuring stick, Doug?
No.
Since they're 25 and 20.
Do you know what the Cardinals team ERA is over the last 2 weeks?
Boy, it's got to be low as the dickens.
I'll set the over-under at 3.
Team ERA.
Oh, I'd go under.
Okay, Tim's on the under.
Yeah. Unless there was a game where they got blown out.
2.93.
Okay, Doug?
I'll say 2.92.
2.86.
Oh, so I win again.
my
God,
Nice win,
I can
Doug.
play this game.
Gosh, darn it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that is darn good. That's how you win 9 in a row.
Yeah.
Are producers allowed to just steal a question? Did he say, oh, great, Jackson, what else?
I
Anything
think
else you want?
If you say it.
Why don't you have
know?
a fight later today? Yeah.
Hey, well, I think if you say it, then, it's fine. Or not, I don't know, they can, if they...
Is it worse if you don't say it?
We're already in the midst of radio wars.
Yeah, that's right.
We may as well steal our good stuff.
Yeah. We're fighting on both
Any
sides.
developments?
You don't apologize.
I did the spread zone with Riz and Stalter, and there was no talking in between.
Yeah.
Like Letterman.
We
Very
do 8
tense.
takes. It was very tense. It was very tense. And when I busted out the Min Woo Lee play, all hell broke loose.
Well, when you get massive stars all in the same room,
That's right. That's
they're not always going to see eye to
Thank
eye.
you very much.
Because you have to look out for your own career. You got a lot of
exactly
people
right.
underneath you.
You ever had a really awkward interview? And
Quinn Snyder.
Okay. And like sitting next to him, it's awkward from start to finish.
Yes.
The interview, so the
And then when
pre-interview.
he charged at me in the bowels of the Hearn Center, it got even more awkward.
All right, now do we have story time, Jackson? Is that allowed on the dossier?
Yeah, of course. I'm no curator. I'm just here hanging out.
I'm no curator.
Here, get that on a shirt. What? And I'm sure I've heard the story, but what led to the awkward interview?
Quinn and I had a pretty good relationship going back to when he was hired, and I was still a student there. And he was hired in '99 when Norm Stewart, quote unquote, retired. And I had been critical publicly of Missouri's media relations, which locally is by no means a groundbreaking take. And as a Missouri fan, and if you want to call alumnus with 8 credit hours still left, I always felt like the program was doing itself a disservice by not making itself more accessible to both St. Louis and Kansas City. I think it'd be good for the program. I don't really feel like that's real bold. But Quinn, when we sat down to do the interview, it was a one-on-one after they had lost to Marquette Martin in 2003 in the NCAA tournament, that overtime game. D. Wade, Steve Novak
So you were
went
in
off.
St. Louis
So we're in
media.
yeah, but I mean, this wasn't in Indianapolis where that game took place. This was back in Columbia, like a couple weeks later.
A couple weeks there, okay.
And we had a rapport, and it was like super tense before, and then he was giving me like, you know when it's going on if you've done it, and so I'm like, okay.
But he agreed to do the interview.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you drive all the way over there from here.
Yeah, and then
Doug was on vacation at the time.
Doug was on one of those 3-week vacations, and we get done, and it's the old Hearn Center, and he, he's leaving, and he comes walking at me, but with like a purpose, and he goes, "You say the media relations department doesn't do the job around here?" And I go, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're gonna like intimidate me? What are you gonna do? Like hit me?" And I said, "Yeah," and I think that's been the case for a while, and I think that it would help the program, both football and basketball, if they were more responsive. I mean, in comparison, and I realized it's a different set of circumstances, St. Louis University couldn't have made people more accessible. I realized St. Louis University, of course, was up against both the Cardinals and Blues, and at the time, the Rams, so they got to be as accessible as possible. But I don't know what Missouri had done to put themselves in a spot where they were like in some kingdom. And we went back and forth, and a couple days later, we wound up getting on the phone, and I was right outside of KMOV where I was working at the time, and we wound up talking, and I lived at like 40 and Hanley at the time. We wound up talking for about 25, 30 minutes. Quinn is talking for, I would say, 24 of the 25 minutes, and he is all fired up, but not coming after me, feeling like he has been misrepresented and hasn't gotten a fair shake in the media. And I said, hey, man, I don't care if you do the interview with me, and I was doing a show with Frank Cusimano at the time. I said, I don't care if it's with me. I don't care if it's with whomever. It doesn't matter. I said, but if you have these stories to tell, and he was talking about how other coaches are doing dirty crap and he wasn't, and I said, then you ought to tell your side of it. So he does come on with me and Frank. I said, say whatever you want to say. And he says something along the lines of, people think we get nothing but McDonald's high school All-Americans, and therefore the program should be much better. But in reality, we haven't gotten the caliber of recruits that we get attached to. And at the time, somebody I know you have a rapport with, Floyd Irons, they took offense at Vaughn that Jimmy McKinney was viewed as not being a higher echelon recruit. And so that got blowback for Quinn. And I think later that night, this is pre-texting, he called me and he goes, that's it. I can't win. Even when I was trying to tell, he goes, so I'm just done. I'm just not going to, because there's no upside in me doing these interviews. Now, I realize Quinn Snyder, I'm not trying to redo Quinn Snyder history, but for the purpose of the story, he was pissed off. And I said, well, if you're really upset, then you need to tell your side of it, because otherwise people don't know your side of it. So he does the interview and he catches a bunch of hell for it. So, that's the backstory on the Quinn Snyder.
But it's interesting because he experienced almost like the text inbox. You can't win. You try and clear the air. But you were joking about, I think, Stalter, Rizzo, the awkward error.
Oh, yeah, 100% joking.
The awkwardness in the room. I'm kidding. The Rizzuto show. But when Scott Linehan was here, team was largely terrible, but yet I did his coach's show. But on Sunday nights, we had Brian Burwell for Rams commentary, which was his job, and I would always kind of walk the line. You had to a little bit. So we walk out on a Monday to tape with Linehan, and I think they're 0-4 that year or whatever it was. And the photographer, Tom Heise, he's like setting up. All right, fellas, how we doing today, guys? He's real upbeat, and he's like running cables. And I'm like, oh, my God, let's just get going. They're 0-4. This is going to be brutal. So I'm trying to make small talk with Scott Linehan, and I said, catch the Seahawks game last night, which was their next opponent, and they'd been on Sunday Night Football. He goes, yeah, after your effing show, and uses the full F word. I said, oh, I'm sorry, was there a problem? He said, you and Burwell on there teeing me up. And I said, I don't think I've ever teed you up, because I had to do the show, and I couldn't. And he goes, put a graphic up there, made me look stupid. And now my brain is like spinning. I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh, we had a graphic that said first 20 games as coach. And I said, you were ahead of Vermeil. Now, Mike Martz had a stellar record, his first 20. So he thought we were mocking him. And I think Burwell said something along the lines of, this organization is terrible from the top down.
Well, that might have been what's
and I said, actually, Brian's kind of blaming Shaw and ownership, and that you're just kind of a victim of that. That's his theory, So, and I said, but I'm happy. I said, you can call me anytime if you want to talk about something. He's like, nah, doesn't matter. And he's just like in a terrible mood. He said, let's go. Let's do this. So now we have to tape a 12-minute show.
Oh, my.
So I'm like, hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's time for Rams Game Day with Coach Scott. Great to see you, Hal. Good to, how you been? And so the whole interview is just tense. And then he gets up at the end and just kind of unclips the mic, puts it down, and walks out of the indoor facility at Rams Park. And I said, Scott, let's talk about it. He goes, doesn't matter. This team hates me. It doesn't matter. He just and he has like Quinn, all these things that are really bothering him. And I said, well, hey, I'm here to help if I can. I'm not really the problem. I don't think. But it was the most awkward interview. Like, all right, then on fourth down, unfortunately, you guys fumbled, and they returned it for a touchdown. That made it 28-0. Later was the pick six. I mean, just brutal.
Was that his last year?
No, I think that was the year before. It was 2007. Where they were really, really bad. Yeah. And then they brought him back because Georgia on her deathbed said, I like Scott. And they said, okay.
Oh, is that really the reason?
That was my understanding.
Wow.
They thought maybe we need to make a move, even though it had only been 2 years. But Georgia, before dying, said, please keep Scott.
Wow.
So they did.
Wow.
For 4 games.
Yeah. Wow.
That was my understanding.
That element of the story. Yeah, I mean, with Quinn, if Missouri hits, I mean, I think even like 70% of their free throws in that Elite Eight game we were out there in San Jose against Oklahoma, his whole trajectory for his career / life changes. As crazy as something like that sounds, you can say the same thing if you want to isolate in on something that went well around here. Would be Game 6 of the 2011 World Series for Ron Washington. I doubt he's, blaming people for things in Anaheim right now. But instead, it fell apart, and then he fell apart, and then he winds up having to go over to, I think, Russia to coach. He had to go overseas, and then he became an assistant in the NBA.
He was in the G League for a little while,
right.
in Austin.
Yeah, in Austin, right. Then he went overseas, but now, I think his success in the NBA speaks for itself, both with the Utah and I don't know what his trajectory is now, but he certainly had success in Salt Lake and in Atlanta. But yeah, they I don't know what the number was in that 2002 Elite Eight game. It was something like 55 or 60% from the free throw line, and they still were nearly beating Kelvin Sampson's Oklahoma team. And he was on one, man. So,
but there are times that PR operations do a coach a disservice, and they don't know that they're being told, not available. And Mizzou's gotten a lot better. It's been a struggle over the years, but it's gotten a lot better down there.
Mm-hmm. It seemed like they felt like they could bully around the student reporters from KOMU and KBIA and Columbia, Missouri, and whatever it was. But, that doesn't really fly in a bigger market when you got people that don't have to answer to the king of the town who was
That's
the
typical.
football coach.
Yeah, college sports,
coach.
you see that all the time, where the coach is the biggest bullies because the reporters are all 19.
Yeah, and they're in smaller towns, generally. But we don't put up with anything like that.
Not in the big city, Doug.
No.
We hold them accountable.
We're a hard scrabble, and this is a town where the media is not soft.
Do you think reporters ever put a finger in the chest of a coach or a player?
Probably. If you can think of it, it's probably happened.
You're welcome to give your thoughts. 314-974-0101 is how you can call in. Joey Vitale is going to be on the Callier and Thompson phone lines coming up here in the Fisher Window and Door Store, 8 o'clock hour. And James Carlton is a longtime sponsor of this program as well. He's online at carltoninsurance.net. That's James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. 314-961-4800 or go online at carltoninsurance.net. He's been my insurance agent going back now 6 years. And once you make the switch to James Carlton, number one, they'll do all the paperwork for you. But number two, you will experience customer service like you have never experienced before. It's James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. 314-961-4800 or go online at carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton State Farm. This is TMA, presented to you by Brian Crouppen on 101 ESPN. We've got some warm weather in the St. Louis area, which means you are going to be spending more time outdoors, and that is where aesthetic design and build can really help you out. Dan and his team have a great showroom in Chesterfield Valley where you can check out things firsthand, the custom work that they can do, or you can go online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com. They can do all kinds of custom work for you. They really specialize in custom decks, but they also can do something like adding on a pergola for you. Maybe if you're looking to shade your covered patio with a retractable screen. They really do have answers for it all. Go online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com or check out their showroom in Chesterfield Valley. They have a strong referral base from customers who've had great experiences with Aesthetic Design and Build over the years. And for the most part, if someone has used them for a project, when they move or buy another home, they use them for that project as well. That speaks to the caliber of the business at Aesthetic Design and Build. Online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com.
This is Action Jackson with the Sports Center update. It's driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals back in action tonight, taking on the Kansas City Royals. That's going to be a 6:40 first pitch with Andre Palante on the mound for the Redbirds. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, what's the music theme? I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't.
I think this Friday is going to be a
delay tactic.
Well, it's a Saxy Friday.
Saxy Friday.
Saxy?
Yeah, yakety sax.
Doug, you like a yakety
I
sax?
do like a yakety
Yeah,
sax.
so if we get a good song with a nice little yakety sax, I'm gonna try
Okay.
to play it best I can. A Saxy Friday, Martin.
Okay.
Did you stumble into Saxy Friday, or did you map that out at 5 a.m.?
You know, some things just come to me.
Organic?
Women's Station, Bolt of Lightning, Saxy Friday. Just things kind of happen.
I see.
Big hit? So then you have one side that would be men, but then the other side would be women? Programming.
Yes,
Okay.
right. And I think it's going to be great. Giving back to the community charity.
I, for one, love the look behind the curtains of the local media like Martin just shared. Thanks. That's from Millie. That's in the Michelob
Millie.
Ultra YouTube chat.
Oh, thanks, Millie. I wanted Jim Thomas to write a book about the untold stories of Rams Park, kind of behind the scenes.
Oh, is he thinking about doing it?
He said I think he's finishing a book with Mike Martz first, which will probably touch on a lot of those type stories. But I think just going back, the whole early days and Ortmeyer and company, and I don't know what all Jim can say, but there's a lot of tales from the halls of Rams
I think
Park.
he pretty much let it rip at this point since they're out of here.
Absolutely. Joey Vitale is going to join us here coming up in the Fisher Window and Door story at 8:00 hour. It is TMA, presented by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN. You can watch the show and talk it over with other listeners. Go to youtube.com/TMASTL. Subscribe to the page and settle in. Just shy of 6,000 subscribers to the TMA page on YouTube. Mike Martz, Martin, you're close with him. At least I think so. Maybe I don't want to say that
I'd
if
say
I'm not
a
right.
decent rapport. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd say close, but I'd say a solid rapport.
I feel like we were talking about, I don't even know how, because of the quote-unquote radio wars with the Riz Show and the Fast Lane, that the anecdotes that you and I have had with run-ins with past head coaches in the area, me with Quinn Snyder and you with Scott Linehan, Martz strikes me as a guy kind of similar to Quinn, except Quinn, when it was all said and done, his career is going to be viewed incredibly successfully, I think. Is that fair, Jackson?
Quinn, yeah, overall, I would say. Yeah.
But not in college.
But in outside of, like in Missouri, people aren't thinking, oh, he's a great NBA coach. I don't think they're paying that close of attention.
But
they still view him as...
But nationally, he's viewed as a successful NBA coach. I think he stepped down from the Jazz, and that was a surprise. I'm not going to dwell on the NBA. That's not the point. My point is Mike Martz, where he was before the ball went in the air in February of 2002 in the NFL versus where he was 5 years later, that was a substantial lack of realized potential. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think he would tell you that he felt like he got blackballed when the Rams told other teams, oh, you don't want to hire this guy. You're saying his career trajectory. And you look at his one-loss record, because these guys would always get recycled, always would get another job somewhere. And he never did. And I think it really bothered him for a while.
He got some offensive coordinator jobs with the Lions.
Lions, maybe 49ers for a year, but with Lovey in Chicago. So the OC for a couple of different teams, but I think in terms of never getting a head coaching job, it is stunning when you look at the record.
That's how often do you see a guy who not only was a head coach of a conference champion, a team that was, what a 2-touchdown favorite going into the Super Bowl, not get another head coaching opportunity? And I'm sure there are examples. I mean, this isn't like a challenge that it's unheard of. But my point is, it's incredibly rare, and then his fall off was substantial. So relative to potential and expectation, And also, he really was responsible for shaping an offense that set the tone for an era in the NFL for him to, just kind of be on the backwoods of the game within 5 years. That stands out, I think.
And if you talk to players like Marshall Faulk and Isaac Bruce, smart Hall of Fame football players, they'll tell you like elements of their offense are still out there. What they were doing, that it had that big of an impact on the league.
So what do you think happened?
His career coaching record, postseason included, 56-36.
Right.
And could never get another head coaching job.
So that's what I'm asking here.
Yeah, I know he has said that he thought, and I think he and John Shaw are good now. They're on good terms. They talk, which surprised me. But I think at the time he felt like they were kind of putting it out there, you don't want this guy. Whatever you do, don't hire this guy. And because they had some differences of opinion for sure. So I'm surprised teams, though, would just take that to heart.
Right, exactly.
I'm surprised that would be enough.
With all the teams out there, for all of them to have been given that same message is kind of hard to believe.
Right. Well, you only get a couple probably poking around each year. Hey, we're thinking about hiring so-and-so. So you don't have to go and tell the whole league, but if a couple of teams call and ask... Yeah, that would be interesting. I think we'll get him in here one day. We'll just get the old ball coach in there, tell some stories. What do you say, Jackson?
I'm in.
Yeah, I would love that. I would thoroughly enjoy it. Guys, I once saw Kevin Demoff at Sunglass Hut. That's from Will Clark postgame
Really?
bevy.
Now, is that in one of the malls?
Will Clark's postgame bevy. You're going to have to call in to elaborate. 314-974-0101. Collier and Thompson, sponsor of the phone lines. Air Comfort Service, sponsor of the text inbox. Pro sports is about adjustments. Martz couldn't do it. That's from the White Collar Hoosier.
I'd say he adjusted pretty well if his overall record as a head coach was 20 games over 500.
Well, and every coach is going to have games and moments that they'd like to redo. I mean, we talked about Ron Washington. That was an epic meltdown for the Rangers. He's back coaching and managing. Well, I'd like to know the whole backstory. I think it was actually Chris Mortensen talked to Martz like off the record about some of the dysfunction in the building, and then Mort reported it all. And Martz was, and that never, his relationship with Shaw and the Rams never was the same, because he said it was clearly stuff I didn't want out there. Saying that they complained we went to the Super Bowl because it was expensive. And I could hear Shaw saying that. It didn't mean they didn't want to go to the Super Bowl. But I could hear Shaw saying, oh, it's such a pain. You got all these hotels. It's expensive. That's just how he was. But I'm sure he loved the fact they made it there. But it sounded really bad when it came out.
Yeah, but.
Oh, there he was right there.
I was present for that. I assume you were as well, Martin.
He was great sound.
Oh, he was? Yeah.
You get all fired up. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I like this. It's story time. I know we get mocked, some of the texters. It's fine. I enjoy a good story time. And we'll take your calls. It's open phone line Friday on this beautiful Friday where it'll be Armageddon just a little bit later in the afternoon.
Stop talking about the Rams. Why do you hate us? Who cares? But looking forward to next week's Todd Newton segment. Martin, that might have been one of the texts you were making reference to. And by the way, included the umlaut in the text. And for that, that is another reason why Arbor Day is one of the greatest texters ever.
Okay.
In the 21-year history
Where
of this
do you even
presentation.
find the umlaut on the keyboard?
You got to hold the U down, and then the little options will pop up there. That's where you can find your good friend the tilde.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that under T?
Huh?
The tilde.
Any letter that would be appropriate. Chairman, you're well versed in foreign languages. Please enlighten us.
The tilde,
shot
Doug,
at
if you want the
Jeffco?
tilde, you'll hold the N.
Hold the N.
Yeah.
Then how do you know that? You're just supposed to know that?
I mean, no other letters get the tilde, Doug.
Yeah, Doug.
Okay, gosh.
I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game.
By the way, it's Tom Newton. Arbor Day love you, but it is not Todd Newton.
Right.
Although he
Todd
might
Newton's a game show host, right? The former DJ in
He
St.
was
Louis?
Rick Idle. He was Rick Idle on Q106.5.
Yeah.
Which is now 3 doors down, 106.5 The Arch. Fun.
And I think he now does, because he was a well-known DJ in St. Louis, but I think he now does like a roving Price is Right or something like that, where he hits casinos and things like that.
all right.
I think if it's not Price is Right, It's some game show that he does
Yeah,
all the
he's got to
time.
work with Todd Newton on Wikipedia. Game show host.
Yeah, very funny guy.
He does not have the umlaut, by the way.
I wouldn't think he would.
So we'll have Todd Newton or Tommy Newton as a surprise next week.
Yeah, surprise guest, Doug. You love a good surprise.
I do.
Joey Vitale is not a surprise guest. He is coming up on the program. Where will Joey Vitale's mind take us this week, Martin? What do you think? We're going to talk chickens.
I think he forgot that he's told us the bird story already about it being attacked. You were here for 1 week. You missed 1 week.
That's right.
But I think we may have told the story a couple of times.
So I texted him yesterday to come on the program today, and he sent me a video of what looked like 5 or 6 chicks, small little chickens, all running around in this little cage, and he's dedicated to it, man. He's into the chickens.
Well, that's good. A lot of eggs there.
That's good for
That's
him.
what you want from your chickens.
So that'll be the first topic. There's always background noise, and then you have to kind of query as to what's happening. What's
There's a
taking
little
place.
noise over at the Vitale house. Yeah, kids will be done with school here soon. That's a situation.
When is end of May mostly?
No, I think it's coming up. I think we're in the last week, maybe, for a lot of them.
The son's preschool. The last day was a couple days ago.
Day of graduation.
There was a school picnic. Martin, that was yesterday.
Nice.
Of course.
Chocolate?
And then my son and Joey's kids go to the same school, and I think the last day's next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is
coming up. College, I think.
They always try to let them out before the dotem.
Is that right? So they can get a good seat, put their lawn chairs down, and get a good seat.
By the way, Todd Newton worked at Camel V on the children's television show Gator Tales.
Dog, did you know that?
That goes way back to like the early 80s, early to mid 80s.
While visiting Los Angeles in 1994 to report on Hollywood for St. Louis television station KPLR.
Report on Hollywood?
Newton, then a radio personality known as Rick Idle, signed with an agent, became host on E! Entertainment Television.
They used to have junkets where Hollywood studios would pay to bring reporters from markets all over the country.
They still have them, but they do it all on Zoom. So you get in the Zoom call with Gwyneth Paltrow and 90 other web journalists.
Not the same.
And you get 7 minutes.
But it was quite a gig to be the local entertainment reporter and get to go to Southern California and hobnob with all the stars and everything for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's cool.
Martin, there's back-to-back texts saying they love story time. So don't get disenfranchised with the text inbox.
Not disenfranchised.
The text inbox is supportive as the day is long.
Just noting. We would get the radio junkets, and that was, I don't know if it was this show or Rich Gould. And they're like, we really need to wrap this up. And the publicist was heard over the
Yeah, so we've had that where they jump in.
They jump in, and you're like, we're on the
Guys,
air.
we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like, so who the hell was that?
And then we booked, maybe Iggy booked it, but it was one of Tiger Woods' mistresses or something. It was during that heyday, and there really wasn't a lot to talk about. And it was Gloria Allred represented the gal, and then I said, well, I don't know what else to ask. And Rich goes, I think we're done with her. And that's how the interview on the air ended.
There's some people out there where I call it a question 2 problem. Question 1, very obvious, what people want to hear, and then where do you go from there? Question 2 problem.
Question 2.
I think Jackson said that to me when I booked Eddie Monster. He said,
where do we go after Cal May?
He said, I'm with you, but I'm a little concerned about question 2.
There's a question 2.
And then it proved to be a delight.
Yeah, I was so wrong on that one.
But Rich, the poor woman, she's been through a lot with Tiger Woods. And he said, yeah, we're done with her.
Joey Vitale coming up. This is TMA, presented by Brown & Crouppen, 101 ESPN.
Could be a golf trip or a trip to the beach. Kids want to see the ocean. Maybe they've never been. Get them down to Florida. 7 different locations available Flying out of Mid-America's St. Louis Airport. Great prices from Allegiant Airlines. Find out more about that at flymidamerica.com. All these great, warm, fun destinations, and that includes Gulf Shores. That's a recent addition over at Mid-America. Also, Vegas trips, Hilton Head, all these spots sound fun. Book that flight, get online, and when you fly out of Mid-America St. Louis Airport, you're going to learn what it's like to fly with the convenience that comes with Mid-America because you park right there in front of the terminal. It's less than $10 a day to park. Walk in, go through security, you're at the gate. All of that, less than about 15 minutes from car to gate in about 15 minutes. You just don't get that anymore when flying and going out of town. You can experience convenience, great flights, great deals to some pretty awesome destinations. Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale. Where is it you want to go? Get online, book the flight. It's flymidamerica.com for your next trip.
TMA 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the program. And Doug, there's no greater adventure one can take in the St. Louis area outside of Merrimack Caverns than when you go on the phone lines on Fridays with Joey Vitale.
Oh, great.
Let's go on an adventure.
Okay.
Morning, Joey.
Morning, boys.
What's going on today?
I was actually past Merrimack Caverns last weekend. We went to. You guys ever been out to Steelville?
Oh, float trip season.
That's where they make all the charcoal, right?
I don't know much about charcoal, but I know they have lots of float trips out there. We went fishing. Over there. There's a big, wonderful trout farm. I decided to take my wife on a cabin trip with all the kids for Mother's Day. What an absolute nightmare that was. Totally destructed all the I got to make do with what happened there. It seemed like a bright idea. We stayed out in the cabin. The kids fished. We were getting hooks in our fingers. We were getting bit by ticks. Raccoons were keeping us up. A woodpecker. Yeah. Anyway, it didn't go well. But anyway, we should have gone to Merrimack Caverns and just done a little bit of a cave tour. That would have been a little bit more probably relaxing for my wife on Mother's Day.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing with fishing, it's just a nightmare. It's just you get hooks caught every which way. I feel for you.
And I know what I'm doing, Doug. It's just you got five little minions who they don't know what they're doing.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to teach them to become self-sufficient. But the old fish hook. The tie a fishing hook, there's an art to it. There's a couple different ways to do it, but the way my dad taught me is you put it through the hole and you twist it 8 times, and you fish it through the first hole, and then you kind of loop it through the big loop twice. And trying to get little kids to understand that they got these little tiny little fingers and the
can't do it.
You can't do it. You can't do it. So I find myself sitting there in the lounging chair and basically just recycling fishing poles for 2 straight days while everyone gets bit by ticks and mosquitoes, and bunch of mamba snakes are out there kind of hanging out, which is always an adventure. And
you don't need it.
Yeah, it was a wonderful Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah.
How many times you go fishing with Whitey Herzog? Was it? I know there's a famous story. Was it more than once?
Yeah. So Whitey and I, Martin got a good memory. He lived 2 doors down from me. We grew up together. We grew up on the same street, rather. And I had no idea really who he was growing up. We never played sports. We definitely never played baseball. I got into hockey a little bit later, but my dad was always pouring concrete, and we were just, going to church on Sunday and working in concrete in the summer. So, but everyone kind of found out slowly but surely that Whitey Herzog lived 2 doors down, and everyone got geeked up about it. But I had no idea. I thought he was just the old guy with white hair at the end of the block that was always super nice to me. And but sure enough, we hit it off pretty well. And me and my 2 brothers, this is after Whitey had retired. He got really into bass fishing. Anyone who knows Whitey, he loved the bass fish, even during his playing days and coaching days. I think he would tell me some stories where when he was managing the Cardinals, he'd fish in the morning and then manage a game at night. And a lot of the players, I don't know if they still do that nowadays, but a lot of players back in the day used to do that. So he had this little, I think 19 or 20 foot, bass boat, and every morning when I'd be outside working or doing whatever in my front yard and playing with the kids, we'd see Whitey come just going down the street. And every morning that was his routine. He'd find some sort of lake, and, he's Whitey Herzog. So there's a lot of people with private lakes around St. Louis that opened up the gates for him, and he had different fishing spots all over St. Louis. But we got to go fishing a couple times with him, and I actually cracked one of my very first beers with Whitey on the lake. We were at a quarry. And he's like, "Hey, son, how old are you nowadays?" I go, "Well, I'm 16, Whitey. I just got my driver's license." Hey, that's good enough. And he took me a bush. And so I shared one of my very first bush lights with Whitey Herzog. I don't know if he knew that the drinking age was 21. Maybe I think he thought it was 18. And then when I said 16, that's close enough. I don't think 16 is quite close to 21 personally, but for Whitey Herzog, it was when the former manager of the Cardinals gives you a beer, I don't care how old you are, you drink it. So I certainly downed one, and I think with that one beer, I was a little tipsy the rest of the afternoon. I came home, and I kind of blushy red face, and my mom was like, "What's going on with you?" I was like, "Nothing." I was kind of slurring my words a little bit, and she's like, "Did you have something to drink today?" I was like, "I think I had 1 or 2," and so then she was livid at my dad because somehow my dad was responsible even though he wasn't there. But you know us men, we take all the heat from everything. So she was mad at my dad that Whitey gave me a beer and I was a little tipsy at 16. But we shared some great laughs and great memories. And I learned a lot about life on that boat with old Whitey.
Huh. St. Louis was kind of Whitey's town there for a long time, wasn't it? Whatever he wanted, he got. And everybody was happy to give it to him.
It really was. And, he, as you guys remember, he just had this larger-than-life sweetheart personality where, he didn't really have an ego to him. He wasn't arrogant. He was just down to earth. And I think that's why St. Louis embraced him so much, because he was just kind of one of us. And I think it's for the same reason, you look at Jim Montgomery and Chief, kind of the same way. They were just one of us, and people just loved him. And then, of course, his wife, Mary Lou, she is just an angel sent from God. I mean, she is just the nicest human ever. When we'd have friends growing up on Sunset Hills, where we lived on that street there in this little subdivision, our friends would come over, huge baseball fans, and the dad's like, "Hey, is there any way we can go meet Whitey?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, let me just call Mary Lou," and we call Mary Lou, and she's like, "Yeah, just send them on down," and they opened up the doors for us, and I'm sure he got bothered with it a lot, and this is his own personal home, but they answered the door, everyone in. They took him to the basement. He had just a beautiful shrine of all the memories and trophies and accolades, and he had this big refrigerator. I'll never forget it. He opens the refrigerator every time. Every time I've seen this, must have been a dozen times. This refrigerator reminds you of that scene from Pulp Fiction where they open the case and it's like that, it's like that gold light. I mean, this fridge opened and it was just a bright light, and there was every drawer from front to back was stocked with Budweiser. I mean, there wasn't one gap in that fridge. And he always offered it to the dads, and we just shared in some laughs, and he just made everyone feel home and welcomed, and that's what everyone, of course, misses about him.
Huh. Well, it's nice that you had that brush with major celebrity, because as I understand it, you never really got to know Sidney Crosby, despite being a player there with Pittsburgh.
No, there's a good transition. Yeah, no, but listen, Whitey taught me things that, like I said, I didn't need till a lot later in life. He'd say, "You like girls, Joe?" I said, "Yeah, I like girls, Whitey." I'm 14, but I'm kind of getting into them a little bit. I'm kind of a prepubescent young fella, strapping young man going to CBC next year, my freshman year, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd say women are beautiful, Joe." And he would just stop, and I just kind of let him talk and let him talk and let him talk. He's like, "You stick with the beer, and stay away from the liquor." And he was telling me this. I feel like I should write this down. And those goddamn martinis, they'll get you. And I was like, I don't even know what a martini is. I thought it was like a certain dance or maybe a type of woman that, down in Mexico you got to watch out for. I didn't know what he was talking about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's like, down martinis, Joe. They're like a woman's breast, I was like, one's not enough, but three's way too many.
Gosh.
I said, all right, Whitey, well, I'm going to write that down too when I get home. And so I got a little notebook somewhere, and I got all my Whiteyisms, if you will. And like I said, we learned a lot about life. We learned a lot about women and drinking and baseball and fatherhood on that lake.
How about that, Tim? A lesson for life. Martini is a little bit like breast. One or two's fine. Three's too many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good lesson.
File that away, kids.
One not enough. Three's too many. Like women's breast. Two's just right.
Okay, one's not enough. Three's too many. Write that down. Joey, do you think there'll ever be golf where they have a dome over the golf course so that we can, so that Tim can golf in inclement weather?
I hate golf.
He does.
Wow.
We've talked about it a little bit. Like I'd be BSing with him. I'd be up at the golf course.
Hockey guys love golf.
Usually so. Yeah, and you'd probably pick it up and be better than me within like 3 weeks. So I'm glad that you're not doing it.
I don't know. You're walking in the clubhouse with your tucked in shirts, and I don't know. It's just, come on, go pour some concrete, will you? Like, come on, let's man up. Like, you got your hats, your white hats, and your white belts, and everything's matching, and you look like a bunch of goofballs. Sorry.
Okay. Next question. Best name in sports. We've got a guy named Johnny Vegas who is leading at the PGA Championship
for another 5 minutes. He's folding up like a cheap tent, Martin.
Waiting for him to collapse. But Johnny Vegas is his real name. Sid the Kid's pretty good. Any names over the years? Like, God, that's a great sports name.
Mr. Hockey. How do you beat that? The great one. Those are the classics. The one right now in the league, I think he's still playing, is Tomas Tartar. They call him Tuna. I always like that. Get it? You get it, Doug? Because tuna tartar.
Tartar. Yes, I got it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go. Yeah. No, golfers are fine. I just was like I was working cleaning concrete forms growing up, and I didn't never play sports in the summer. When school was over, we went right to the yard over there in Afton, the VJ yard off Chivas Drive, and it's right across the street from Tower Grove, which I'm sure you guys have been out Tower Grove there, and not Tower Grove, Tower T. Yeah. Tower T. What am I saying? Tower Grove. Tower T. So we were so VJ, my dad's concrete company, was right across the street. So I'd be cleaning forms. I had rashes all over my body from the heat. It was horrible. So I'm cleaning forms all day, and you know I get these random just balls just smoking these trucks right whizzing by my head, and I look across the street over there, and these goofy kids on 18th hole just firing them over it was probably you, Tim. Now that I think about it, a big goofball just firing at me with my hard. Luckily, I had a hard hat on. Had a hard hat on, but you guys anyway. So my dad, we would always drive by these golf courses, and like he was old school Italian, you know, and he's like, look at these lazy son of a guns golfing right now. He goes, just look at them. You know, so I guess my issue with golf isn't that golf's bad. I think it's just been so ingrained in me from such a young age because my dad was so vocal. He's like, look at these lazy son of a gun. They should be pouring concrete or they should be at church. If you're not pouring concrete or you're not at church, you ain't doing anything productive in this world. So, yeah, my dad, he had some issues, God rest his soul. And but you know what? It was something ingrained in me at a very young age. But no, I have nothing against golfers. I just personally despise the sport for that reason.
Huh. And you're saying some people at Tower T would shoot balls at you?
Yeah, they would fire them at me. I'm cleaning forms, just minding my own, you know, across the street there, and these big 7-foot steel forms. You know, I do that all summer. You have to lift these. I mean, they must have weighed 80 to 90 pounds, and sometimes they were covered in concrete for 100 pounds. 100 pounds. You know, when they're done with the job site, they dump them off of the yard. And my job for like 3 or 4 summers was just to take out a scraper, like a 6-foot scraper, and just scrape these forms. You know, it's like these parents come up to me all the time, like, "Hey, what did you do in the summer? Like, what does my son got to do? Were you getting skills coaches?" I tell them the same thing. I go, Send them to go have them pour concrete. Like, just go pour concrete for 7 years. 2 things are going to happen. You're going to get naturally the greatest freaking workout of your life because it's exhausting and it's extremely heavy. And the third thing is you're gonna be so pissed that you're having to do this that you're going to want to go. You're going to be so motivated to do anything else but this. So, you know, for what it's worth, this is my 2 cents out there. If you want your kids to be successful in any sport, just have them go pour concrete in St. Louis, especially in the month of July here, for 6 weeks. And I promise you they're going to be well on their way because not only the conditioning, the grit, you're going to obviously work in the pace. And then I had to work with all these like ex-convicts. You know, it doesn't take a very bright person to pour concrete. You know what I mean?
So there was an endorsement for it, and now we've gone totally the opposite direction, and it's not really an endorsement at all. How about those Jets hold and serve at home, Joey?
Boo hiss.
I tell you what, they're like two different teams.
Yes, 2 different netminders, huh?
Dude, that Connor Hellebuck, I don't know what is going on with that guy because he can't get it together on the road. But you know what? Luckily for Winnipeg, they still own that home ice advantage. It is kind of the same team we saw with the St. Louis Blues, which is going to be interesting if they continue to pursue it and win. You know, is it going to be the same trend? You know, there is something about the water in Winnipeg when that team steps on the ice there. They're a completely different beast. Dallas is a very, very solid team. They're getting healthier. They looked strong as well. But I don't know. This one's going to be interesting. I think if Connor Hellebuck could shake off the road woes, if you will, tomorrow night, I think they play tomorrow night. If he could do that, I think this series is a lock for Winnipeg to come back home because it's been a fun one. It's been interesting. And it's been back and forth, and you really got to give it to Winnipeg, who they rode that injury wave, and they were able to sustain it through the Blues series. They barely got by. I mean, literally barely, as we all know, barely got by with Nikolai Ehlers kind of slowly coming back. You also look at Velarde, kind of made us come back throughout that series. Now those guys are both healthy, and they're kind of starting to come and go. So they are kind of getting healthier along the way here. So it'll be interesting to see if they can really kind of put it together and make this a fun series and have it go to 7.
6-1 at home, I believe. 0-5 on the road. And Henry Lundqvist actually was doing interviews after the game, asking the players about that. Can't win on the road. I would still think Dallas would get it done at home. And then you got the Oilers sitting there, just as the TMA bracket predicted. I think we've had a perfect bracket so far. I'm pretty sure. Who's your team left that you think is going? You got a guaranteed winner of the Cup?
Yeah, I mean, like right now, I look at the West. I think that they're clearly the deeper conference. So people would say, hey, if the West has the deeper team, you look at Dallas, you look at Winnipeg, certainly, and the Edmonton Oilers obviously caught fire. To me, those are three of the top four strong teams across the whole board. But the issue is, as we all know, when the West kind of beats each other up for 4, 5, 6 weeks, what's really left at the very end? So to me, I almost look at maybe the top tier team in the East kind of having their way with it, and then eventually just kind of moving over. I believe it's the Carolina Hurricanes. I've said it since the get-go. I love the way they took care of Washington. I think this is a team that has been destined to win for a long time. I think they're coached very well with Rod Brindamore. I thought they brought over Stankoven, which is an incredible move. Brent Burns seems ageless. He keeps continuing to go. They're deep. There's this Sebastian Aho. I continue to be impressed with his 200-foot game across the board. They got great fan support. There's something magical happening down south there. And like I mentioned, guys, I look at Carolina now. They're going to get a lot of rest. I think they can. I think they're deep enough and strong enough officially now with the great goaltending to take care of the Florida Panthers, who I think are going to take care of Toronto, no problem at all. And then they're going to even get more rest before they face the West winner there. And like I mentioned, I think the deeper teams, the stronger teams as a whole are in the West. But like we've seen so much, when it's that way, sometimes they can just beat each other up for 3 straight rounds, and there's just not much left come the Stanley Cup final. So that's where I think that at the end of it all, I think Carolina is really the team that everyone should be watching.
I've heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, that you think when the season is over, Sam Bennett of the Panthers ought to be a player that the Blues target?
Might have been Rivers.
Yeah, and that would be in a dream world. I think he's probably going to be the most sought after forward in the market. It's gonna, it's interesting. He obviously holds all the cards at this point. He can make a decision wherever he wants to go. It is difficult with players nowadays because, with the taxes being the way they are, a big player in all this with the contracts is, the income tax, with players down south. You look at the Floridas, you look at the Dallases, Vegas is another one. You look at how Petro signed there. It's one of the reasons why they are able to get all the star players like Jack Eichel for these contracts that, are for less money, but you end up taking home a little bit more compared to when you go up north and play in Toronto or, God forbid, California. So I think when I bring that up, I think that there is an advantage for teams down south there for that reason. And you know what? The other part is it's gonna cost a pretty penny to bring in a Sam Bennett, and I can't really see Doug Armstrong paying anyone more than what they're paying their two pillars right now, and especially in Robert Thomas. So it would be difficult. It'd be a stretch, but I think that Sam Bennett, to me, he embodies everything that Blues hockey represents. He plays that kind of snarly, just sandpaper style, gets under the skin, never smiles, just loves the game. A great teammate, can play a physical brand, can play a skill brand. He's one of those power forwards in the game still that you're starting to see less and less of as this game gets more and more skilled.
He said he's got sandpaper in his game. I've also heard it said that he's not afraid to pet the cat the wrong way.
Oh, I like that.
Have you heard that one?
I like that a lot.
Are we losing?
I'm here. Are you talking about petting a cat from your tail to your head?
I don't know. That's just. I don't
know if it was literal. Doug, did you mean it literally?
No, that's the hockey slang I've heard. He's not afraid to pet the cat the wrong way.
Figuratively.
I thought that's kind of a cool way to say it.
Oh, I've never heard that before. Is it? I thought he actually had a cat.
Yeah, it's like one way of saying, well, he's got a lot of sandpaper in the game. He's not afraid to mix it up a little bit, nor is he afraid to pet the cat the wrong way.
Oh, I guess because it's rougher if you pet it from tail to head.
Yeah, and the cat might scratch you or get upset or something.
Tim, we're getting a full breakdown on this great hockey analogy.
I'm going to put it by my Whiteyism. I'm going to use this on the broadcast next year, Doug. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you could use that.
Curves, he likes to pet his kitty a certain way.
No.
That's what we love about his game.
Okay.
Could get a little.
He's got a couple pussy cats at home, and he likes to scratch them away, and that's what makes him special on the power play. Did I use it correctly there?
Yeah, you'll go right to the network with that.
Nice. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, Dan Orlovsky.
Watch your mouth.
Hey, Joey, we get questions from texters, and Harrison's brother Master is not a big fan of Jordan Cairo, and he wants to know if you think there's any chance that he will be traded this offseason.
Yes, there's always a possibility. I believe he's got until July 1 where his no trade kicks in. I think everyone's available. I was in the hallway a couple years ago, right after they traded Ryan O'Reilly, and coming down the hallway, and I ran into Al McGinnis, and Al's coming one way, I'm coming the other day, and we just kind of small talked for a brief second. It was, I think, the day after they traded O'Reilly away. And I said, man, that's kind of hard to believe. There goes O'Reilly, just like that. And he said, yep. And he's like, but when the great one got traded from Edmonton to L.A., everyone's expendable. And he's so true. Like, when the greatest hockey player of all time gets traded, everyone can get traded. So everyone's on the trade block all the time. You know, even when you have players that have these modified and no trades, I mean, there's always deals that can be done, as we've seen. So there's always options. Clearly, Doug Armstrong has far more flexibility before July 1 if something should get done. I think that for general managers, as we all have seen, the return around the draft day is always, it seems, at least lately, to me, always has seemed deeper as far as you can get more back on draft day. I think the trade deadline, it's a little bit tougher because there's so many different variables up in the air. But with the cap being established and everyone kind of knowing that direction, I think there's lots of different reasons that would say, yes, it is possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Do I think it should happen? No. I think you're looking at a player in Jordan Cairo that has taken massive steps this year. It's not going to happen overnight. He is, but the question is he growing? Is there development? Is there progress? Yes. It's not perfection, but it's progress. I mean, that's what you want to see. Was it the level of progress we saw out of Robert Thomas this past year? Well, no, but Robert Thomas took a huge leap. I mean a massive leap as far as him being established now as the number one guy here in the alpha of this organization moving forward. Jordan Cairo is not quite there, but this is also Jordan Cairo's journey. So the thought of trading away a kid who's going to get you 30-plus goals, well, okay, go do that. But you better get a player that's going to guarantee you 30 more plus goals during the regular season. I'm telling you guys, it's not that easy to find. It's not that easy to find, especially for the contract that he's under. I mean, you know, Jordan Cairo can be a 40-goal scorer in this league. I think maybe even as soon as next year he could be. So you got a guy making around an AAV of $8 million, and you got him locked in for a long time here, who's scoring 40-plus goals. Like, guys, it's a pretty good deal. Now, I get the downside. I get that, you know, the playoffs have not suited him consistently very well. He definitely had great spurts over the last couple of years. He was actually, you know, the last time the Blues were in the playoffs, people kind of often forget, but he lit the lamp pretty well, and especially in that Colorado series where the Blues ended up taking care of Minnesota and then losing the second round. So I think that, you know, sometimes fans get a little bit thrown off by his style because we're all St. Louis Blues fans. We grew up here. We were born here. We love it here. We love that Chief, Braden Shen, Oscar Sundquist style of hockey because that's just it's in the water here. But you know what? We have to adapt, and we have to realize that not everyone's going to be that way. And we still got a heck of a hockey player here and a heck of a goal scorer that's going to guarantee you, like I said, at least 30 a year and probably push for 40 here pretty soon with his shot and as Robert Thomas gets better and better and better. So, yes, it is possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No. And do I think it should happen? Absolutely not. Because, like I said, his 200-foot defensive game especially took such a step this year, and we're just going to see him keep getting better and better and better.
There it is. Joey Vitale. Doug, it's a Friday visit that talks about golf and men and the way men should be.
Cats and little fishing.
And
pour some concrete, fella.
Exactly. It's knowledge, it's wisdom, it's powerful, and you have no idea where it's going to go or where you've just been. Joey Vitale, Fridays on TMA. Joey, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the conversation. We'll look forward to talking again next week.
Always a pleasure talking to you guys as well. You guys have a great one.
Take it easy, brother. There he is. That's Joey Vitale with us here on TMA, joining us on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the program. We have the drops of the week coming up next. A big week on the program. Design, air, heating, and cooling email today coming up at 10:45. Send yours in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. This is TMA, presented by Brian Krupp on 101 ESPN. Doug, you wanted to hear the yakety sax in the return music today?
Yeah, where is this? I don't hear the sax.
I think
yet.
the original song, Can't Go For That by Hall & Oates, probably has more sax, but this is the 2 Chainz remix.
Okay. Slide on the yakety.
I do like the song, though.
So now it's just whether you like the song or not.
No, well, I mean,
always the base.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Doug, it's Friday here on TMA, and we always look back on the week that was with the drops of the week.
Morning after.
Drops of the week.
Yeah, you guys drop it like it's hot, Doug.
It's a wonderful drop.
Indeed it is.
Flip that off. Flip that off. Flip that off. Flip that off.
Flip that off.
Doug likes to go to neighborhood restaurants. That's his kink.
Philip, yo, but
I never liked being real greasy.
You want to finish my other 2?
I can't get on an airplane without my support pig.
You been to downtown Cotterville? It's lovely.
I mean, it's quite obvious at this point someone is being lied to.
Stop it, Jim. You and your nutsack.
How's Eric Fetty?
We gonna bring that back, right? How about that whole deal?
And this is one of the really great honors of my life, talking to you fellas.
Hey, I want to ask you a big favor. How about I come up to the station on Friday? Could I come up and meet you?
No. You don't ever tickle your father-in-law's bikini area, do you?
Good question. I'm not going to give you a straightforward answer.
My throat wouldn't even allow it to go down.
Think about that, Doug.
Hashtag curious.
That's interesting.
50 guys walking around with just a jock strap on.
Again, I'm enjoying the show.
I don't think Doug Vaughn knows who I am.
Be humbled by your length.
Is this Lexington Steel?
Swinging package of dynamite named Sassy Cassie.
Look out, Philadelphia! Here we come!
Well, there you go.
That was Drops of the Week.
Hashtag it. I got the baseball swing in there. You got John Gruden in there. You got Donald Trump in there. I think you put a Burley answer, Alec Burleson, to a Doug question that was a little out of context, but it worked. It was funny.
Yeah, I feel like I've been not slacking, but not up to snuff in terms of drops of the week over the last 2 weeks, so I wanted to really...
Oh, wow, is that
lock
right?
in on that. It was a little longer than they usually are.
The Sassy Cassie whistle makes me laugh every time. I don't
put
know
it in
why.
there just for you.
Thank you.
Just can't go wrong. And then was it the Francesca? I want to come down there. Was that for me?
Put that one in there just for you.
Thank you.
That was a delight for you, Martin. Francesca's not happy about the Giants' schedule, Martin. You had the big schedule release a couple nights ago.
Did you have people over?
I had people over. You had to watch the Chiefs' schedule release. What do we have here from...
This is him on his Bet Rivers podcast.
Bet Rivers.
I'm not gonna, it was a 12-minute video. I watched it on 2 times speed, and I still almost fell asleep. But this is his lead up to it. Just can't believe the Giants' schedule.
Obviously improved. I love Scatterbo. I hope he becomes a major factor because I think he's going to be a unique player and a very productive player. So there's reason for some optimism. But this was a very bad football team the last 2 years, a terrible football team last year, even a laughingstock football team at times last year. And they play a schedule that is absolutely, absolutely brutal. I mean, it is unbelievable. I mean, it's a torture chamber. It's about as hard as, I don't know if you could realistically, under the groundworks that we have, I don't know if you could construct a harder schedule. I'm serious. Listen to this. I look at schedules and say that schedule is a +1, +2, a -1, a -2. This schedule is like a -5. It's like Murderer's Row.
Now, what was that at the end?
Did somebody just get slapped upside the head?
That's my. That's just kind of my standard sounder.
Just a. Huh. He's not wrong. Their schedule does look. They got home games against Kansas City, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Green Bay. They got to play at Detroit. They got
Maybe he's got a point.
Yeah, what he's saying is true.
Seemed like he had his version of the Vaughn index. He gave the schedule like a +1,
that
a
was my favorite
-5.
part. This is
like I didn't
arbitrary scoring of how a schedule is.
They got to play at Denver. That'll be another tough game.
Doug's breaking it down. Giant schedule.
You like a good schedule?
Yeah, Just checking to see if he was crazy or not. He's not. They have a very tough schedule.
Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design Air is the sponsor of our email of the day. That's coming your way at 10:45 here on the program. Joey Vitale with us in the Fisher Window and Door Store 8 o'clock hour. You can always go back and podcast like the Dickens, courtesy of the good people at Schaefer Door Company. I reached out to Jason Gosrow yesterday, Doug. Last evening, as a matter of fact. Is 7:30 too late to text a gentleman? No?
Borderline, but I think you're
borderline?
okay, since we know him.
So, my 3-year-old is, I'd like to say the word. I don't know if I can say it on HD1. Nickname for John F. Kennedy, first name, then attach an ing, and then around with the lock. And I texted Jason. I said, do you guys do like non-overhead doors? Schaeferdoor.com for garage doors. You've had them out for garage doors. Of course, they do commercial doors as well. You go online at SCHAEFER door.com. And he goes, no, we don't, but I've got a guy who I know can. And I think Jason and or his guy is on his way over to the house this morning to tend to the door issue. And that's the kind of service you're going to get from Jason Gosrow and Schaefer Door Company, sponsor of the podcast here on TMA and throughout the day on 101 ESPN. It's Schaefer Door Company. When you have that garage door come crashing down, that means the spring broke, and you go, who do I contact to get this fixed? Very easy. It's Schaefer Door. Schaeferdoor.com, 636-782-3608. That's a number specifically for TMA listeners, 636-782-3608. Schaefer Door, a CHI overhead door dealer. Doug, I've got a situation that I know you are not going to be happy about.
No.
We discovered it yesterday at the home, and this goes beyond the 3-year-old with the door situation. And I need your counsel.
Okay.
I need Martin's counsel. I need Jackson's counsel, and I need the counsel of the audience. And I'm being serious here. I don't know how to tend to this. I will have that for you on the other side of the break. The program's called The Morning After, and it's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
Home mortgage loans can get complicated, but Together Credit Union here for you throughout the entire process. Your hometown loan provider, Together Credit Union, with the home loan solution for every buyer. Specialty loans like FHA, construction loans, union member mortgages, fixed rate, adjustable rate, conventional, jumbo loans. They have it all. Together Credit Union here for you during this process, whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, sizing up, or need a second mortgage, all of it. One spot, Together Credit Union. They know it gets complicated. They're with you, and they make it easy. All of it's handled here in St. Louis. Together Credit Union Experience has the great experience team handling the underwriting, the servicing, everything in between, all done locally. Remember, Together Credit Union, your hometown home loan provider. Check out your rates at togethercu.org. Here's to making St. Louis your home. Find out more online or stop by any of those 14 area branches. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
is Jackson with the Sports Center update. That's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Nuggets defeat the Thunder last night, 119 to 107.
80 on the jersey.
Behind the Nikola Jokic 29-point, 14-rebound effort. They will play Game 7 on Sunday. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Oh, you wanted a yakety sax? You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Rubens, all alone at the theater.
Is there a sax more yakety in this world?
Maybe the song Smoke from a Distant Fire. That had a great yakety sax.
All right, I'll add it to my list here.
Okay. But this is strong for sure.
There's a guy who does this for karaoke, and it's hilarious. Because he just stands there, and then he says the one line.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of Andy Kaufman's performance on SNL with the Mighty Mouse thing.
Tequila's experienced a Sunday charge over the last, what'd you say, 3-5 years?
The beverage?
Aye.
Yeah, big time. Well, I think
celebrities.
Yeah, you got obviously Quinn. But I think it's also a little like you talked about what was it, a few weeks ago about ranch water. You know, certainly
they're playing some golf and had some ranch water.
You can. It's a lower calorie beverage. You know, you can enjoy that and not necessarily take on some of the heavier boozes that are out there.
Take on the heavier booze.
Yeah.
Well,
like some port while you play golf.
Well, like Michelob Ultra, 95 calories.
2.6 grams of carbohydrates. Sponsor of the YouTube chat where friends have gathered to watch the program.
One of, if not the lightest beer in terms of calories you can get on the market. But if you were looking at like something a little heavier, something like a ranch water, tequila in general is a little lighter. And you know what? It's when you do it right, it tastes like vacation in a cup.
Oh, does it really?
You like that vacation in a cup?
Is that a new slogan?
No, when you do it right.
I think my favorite Jackson reaction is, it's kind of a surprise stammer.
Yeah.
It gets a little flustered with the text inbox.
And then you finish the thought.
You can try to fluster Jackson by texting the Air Comfort Service text inbox, 314-399-9646. Doug, Martin, one of the things that Doug has said regarding freeing Deke Dotem, the namesake of our golf tournament, which is a 2-day event, you can play in one of or both of the dates, except one of the dates is sold out. 101ESPN.com is where you can sign up, and it includes all of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Michelob Ultra. It's at Oak Valley Golf Course on May 29th and May 30th. Sign up at 101ESPN.com as we partner with the St. Louis Hero Network in honor of Brian McKenna. It's named the Dotem, and Doug said he would free Deke Dotem from his banishment from the program if a listener brought Doug what?
Geez, I forget what it is. No, it was ahead of a dozen serpents.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Doug hates snakes. Yesterday afternoon, we discovered what, by my standards, was a large serpent in Carport Village, right at the house, hiding behind, I don't know, like a speaker outside. And the lawn was getting cut, not by me.
This is not your house.
My house, yeah.
Oh, you said their lawn was getting cut.
I didn't, though.
Oh, I thought you did.
He doesn't consider his family part of his domain.
Okay.
That's
correct.
them. Those people.
Correct.
I'm Tim.
Yeah,
that's them.
Well, I mean, that's all in the prenup.
Okay.
That's all in the prenup.
All right.
But then, as they're cutting the lawn, one of the gentlemen goes, "Snake, snake!" The snake, once it hears that, and then they're cutting the lawn, it makes its way from the back to the front. And Martin, I would say it's about a 5 to 6 foot. Yeah, it's not black snake, which I guess is common in Missouri, non-venomous. And then it goes to the front of the house, then it curls up in the corner right by the steps. And then it slithers under the steps. Ooh. Then it comes out a couple minutes later, and now it's positioned itself in the shrubbery.
Oh.
And it's just hanging out there. And of course, my two boys are fascinated by the whole thing. The question is, and I ask this from a place of sincerity, what do you do? Because the guys that were at the house, they're like, it's a black snake. Who really cares? But then my father-in-law was over, and he's like, we've had them get into the house before. They live with surrounded by some woods. So do you tend to it? But it's not like I got it like it's like sitting out.
Yes, you tend to it.
You do.
Otherwise, it'll give you a heart attack, won't it?
I mean, I just saw it hanging out. I think I might even gotten a picture for it, but I don't know.
Die, snake, die. That's my credo.
I think it's a message from God, Tim.
You think so?
Yeah. And
like Garden of Eden?
No, he's just saying enough with the cracks and shrub talk. It's cracks.
Think so? This is what it's about?
I think that's what he was kind of messaging to you. But to end that threat from God himself, I think you need to kill the snake.
Yeah.
It's biblical.
You can't have him.
Well, I certainly would. I certainly would. But like I said, it's under the steps now. So I go out there every few minutes.
I'm afraid you're going to have to move, Tim.
Move from Carport Village.
The house has no value right now with the snake.
That's the snake's house now.
The snake's house.
So it's kind of a cuck-sitch?
I have a really irrational fear of sitting down the toilet and a snake working its way up through the pipes.
Oh, you hear stories about that. People get bit.
I know. And so I always check. I sometimes check during the session.
Oh,
and
that's overkill.
If I knew that there was one underneath or near the home, then I think I'd have to go.
Yeah.
I'd have to take road games for the rest of going to the bathroom for a while.
Well, it sure sounds like if you're at Tim's house, you ain't squatting over there.
Certainly not.
No.
Sometimes they say if you see one, there's going to be more.
That's what Rich Gould's book's about, right?
There's a snake down there.
Snake down there.
Can you lure it out with any kind of
items? So I talked to, I guess it's Missouri Wildlife, and what they would do, they said, is they would come out and set 7 snake traps, and there is some kind of like a scent that I guess attracts the snake. Kind of like collagen attracts people to Clayton. And,
really?
Yeah. And so then they would come back in 7 to 10 days and operating on the premise that the snake will have been trapped in one of these snake traps. But I got 2 young tykes. I don't know how big these damn. And plus, I'm a tiny boy myself. I might get trapped in one of those things.
Well, with your pincers, can't you approach the snake and just cut off his head real quick with the pincers?
It's behind the shrubs and under the steps.
Go in there
Trust
and get
me.
him. Go in there and get him.
There's a lot of tech support saying leave it alone.
No, don't leave it alone.
There's snakes in your backyard.
Producer Joe.
Look at that.
What if it gets in the house? What then?
That's the thing.
You can't have a snake crawling around your house.
That's the thing. But we had, with as wet as it's been, I think that's one of the core issues, And I'm telling you, I mean, I'm not turning this thing into like some monster, but it isn't a tiny little friend.
5 to 6 feet.
Yeah.
That's that could do some damage.
I told you before the time I was coming home from work late at night at Channel 4, probably 11 o'clock at night, driving in my neighborhood near my house, and there's a snake that size stretched out on the road, on the street in my neighborhood. So I ran over it.
And backed it up.
I backed up, ran over him backwards, went forward, ran over him again, went back. I did this 5-6 times. I'm sure the neighbors are saying, Vaughn's gone nuts. He's lost it this time. And the last time I ran over it, probably time number 6. After that, he slithered off right into Dan Farrell of the Cardinals, right into his bushes. It didn't kill him. Didn't kill the snake.
Oh, my God. Resilient.
A lot of support for the black snake, saying that they eat the poisonous ones, they eat anything, wildlife, rats, mice, that they're
sure,
helpful.
But NIMBY, do it somewhere else.
Yeah. So, leave the snake alone is the overall sentiment, Martin?
No.
is that what you're seeing? The Air Comfort Service text
That's
inbox?
my overall vibe as these are flying in.
That snake will do 0 damage, Jackson. That's from the 636.
It's easy to say when you're in someone else's house.
Yeah, for real. I think you move.
Just move.
Yeah, I think
It
it's time.
seems a little drastic.
Go somewhere up high, where the snakes can't get you.
Now, if they want to say catch him and release him in the woods, okay,
That's
you
fine.
come catch him and release him. I'm not doing it.
Right? Yeah, you crazy.
Then you sell the house, Jackson. You have to put into the disclosure there was a spooky snake out front one time, and then they don't want to buy it, but then but Timmy lived here. And that changes everything.
That adds to property value. But usually like 28%.
Well, then you just spin it, too. You're just like pleasant wildlife nearby.
Yeah, there's some people who say, I'd love to have deer in my yard. And then the people that have them in their yard can't wait to get rid of them because they eat everything.
Or they'll jump into your living room.
Yeah.
I got bit by a snake once, and I took its head off. That's from Albert Edison. Wow, this guy.
Yeah, good. That's what should happen.
Steve Irwin.
It's too bad those guys couldn't get it with the lawnmower. Because that's the natural enemy of the snake is the lawnmower.
Yeah, that's what got it moving from the backyard to the front yard. I just don't want it in the house.
No.
And then my father-in-law was talking about how he's had a couple in the house. Yeah. But they were smaller than what I got going on. No, they were black snakes as well.
Really?
Yeah. But they live,
Sure.
There's wooded area.
Yeah, I'm not. Poof. I have a natural distrust of something that moves that fast with no arms or legs.
Oh, and silent as the day is long,
I don't
Jackson.
like
I had
that.
to point it out, and once my wife saw it, she goes, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, and the serpent is evil. The serpent is evil.
It's probably going after mice, which does way more damage to your house than a damn harmless snake. Quit being such a baby. That's from the star of the Real Housewives of TMA, Sharon and Clayton.
Would it make it feel better if I say I'm also afraid of mice? Because I am.
So what would you pick? If you
Rodents in general, except gerbils.
Thank you.
What's that? Which would I pick? I'd probably rather have the mouse. But
in the house?
Yeah, mouse in the house. But yeah, snake is no fun.
No. I can't deal with snakes.
Snakes climb, Jackson. How do you think they get in trees? That's from the 314.
They climb?
They can, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it climbed up in the bushes, bro.
Right,
That thing was just hanging out in the bushes.
Okay,
the lawn guys were enjoying it.
Like, can it climb up a tree?
Sure.
Oh, terrifying.
Have you seen videos of the guys like when a boat in the swamp and snakes fall out of the trees onto the boat? And
Woof.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law was showing me a picture of one that looked like something from the Amazon that was in a tree right outside of his house.
Oh, God.
Yesterday.
I won't look for balls in wooded areas some places. That's where that's where they hang out.
No snakes in Hawaii.
Is that true?
They don't
Not
have
one?
any. Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't evolve there.
That's interesting.
They're worried about people bringing them in.
Right, invasive species.
Because it would destroy a lot of other birds and things that haven't had to deal with snakes.
Scott's Wrinkled Ballsack is happy to tend to it. He says it's harmless. Catch it and release it near a wooded area. And if you aren't comfortable doing it, I will come down and catch it and release it for you. Anything for our FM hero.
Well, let him do it. Take him up on that.
He just wanted me to come to his house, though, like an hour earlier.
My mom.
So I'm going to his house. He's going to mine. He's catching the snake. I'm releasing mine. Is that the deal?
My dad's really afraid of snakes, like really afraid of snakes.
Me too.
And there was one in our backyard. My mom had to go out there and deal with it.
Oh, well, that's embarrassing.
But she's a champion, and she knocked it out of the park. So she
with a shovel?
Yeah, my mom can come over, Tim, and she can take care of it. Yeah, sure.
Have somebody's mother come over and deal with your problems.
Yeah, Ellen Futterman, snake hunter.
She's not having her feet rubbed. She's killing snakes.
Huh. Maybe I wonder if they sell a tool at like Home Depot or something where you can deal with a snake humanely.
Like a claw. You need like one of those claw things, like an 8-foot extension claw that you can kind of, with a pincer, that you can kind of grab
Keep his mouth shut and grab him that way.
A friend of the program and, would you say corporate sponsorships? Matt Poling of the Doggies texted me, and he said sulfur chases them away. Snake repellent.
Sulfur.
He's texting
Smells
me.
gross, though.
Okay. So you're just going to spread sulfur on your steps now?
I guess so.
Might chase him right into your house where there is no sulfur.
Then the neighbor will have it. That's how it works. That's the biggest scam in the world is when you get moles in your yard, and then you have the company come in and they clear them all out. They go right over to your neighbors. and then the next year, they're back in your yard,
Right.
and then you get the company.
Next thing you know, they've done the whole street.
I'm telling you, they just shoot them all around the neighborhood.
Circulate them back.
Moles right there with the ugliest animals in the world. God, they're dreadful looking.
Exit poll question mark, ugliest animal in the world.
Oh, so bad one. Add to it.
I think the possum is probably number one. Jeez.
You are welcome to get involved on the program. Your snake suggestions, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Martin, we have fun with audio. What do we have here coming up in the next segment?
Elliot Davis, formerly of the 2 Fox, retired about a year ago, but is still doing some journalism down at City Hall and created quite a ruckus. Jackson, you've seen it. Would you say ruckus?
I think it's the only way to describe it.
It's the only way to describe it. Also, Andy Banker is texting me back with some updates on the
God bless.
sports gambling issues in Missouri. We got to get to that.
Yeah, I want all of it. We're getting to it next.
We're
It's
loaded.
TMA. What
We're
am I If you're looking to purchase a home, maybe you're looking to refinance, or if you are looking to consolidate some of your ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to do any of these things, I'll make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Call him directly on his personal cell phone at 314-324-4440, or you can Google The Bagel Loan. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he will get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days, and he will get you the best interest rate possible. And he also has the Bagel Loan that can help you out as well. What is the Bagel Loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewie is your guy, and he makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewie a call. Call him directly on his personal cell phone at 314-324-4440, or you can Google The Bagel Loan.
No, we're not to the yakety sax section.
No, Doug is not happy with Jackson's audio once again.
Well, it's a good song, and there's a yakety sax, but this isn't the part.
Just hit a sounder, Doug will be fine.
How about that?
Okay, that's the yakety.
Marquette Evergreen Wealth Strategies 9 o'clock hour. The show's called TMA, and it is on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Martin, we have fun with audio and fun with audio galore.
Yeah, kind of bonus fun with audio. This is Elliot Davis, former colleague, City Hall. Kara Spencer, the mayor, City of St. Louis, had a press conference to discuss her first, 30 days, first 30 days in office, sort of touting some of the accomplishments. But Elliot was covering it, I guess, for himself. He posts a lot on Facebook. And he would even do this when he worked at Fox, too. He would do some stories on his own with homeless encampments. But he has a little issue with his phone during said presser.
You may have seen we've also, we launched the transition teams. Those changed for STL teams with over.
Sounds like the building's on fire.
With over 45 community members. They had their first meetings, those committees.
It's still going.
I want to wait for Elliot to take it on.
Got it. Okay.
A rental program was just paused in response to a court order.
There it goes again.
I think at this point he's
On the
trying.
inclusive growth front, we began to revisit the opportunity across housing and homeless folks. So we've been collaborating with the Board of Aldermen on some simple bill updating of city code to support large families.
Before I get another call and disrupt the news conference, Mayor, what is your reaction to the Holly Hills?
To our success.
Are you going to unveil an overall
Did you have a question? You didn't get the answer question.
I just had one last question.
So I think the mayor was so frustrated, she decided not to answer Elliot's question and pointed at some other reporter, and that's when it went off for a third time. It sounds like he's launching nuclear codes or something. I've never heard an alarm.
Why would that be your ringtone? That's the worst ringtone that Apple offers.
It can't be a ringtone.
That's what you set when you have a flight at 6 a.m. and you have to wake up at 3:50. You set that alarm.
It just kept happening, and I think all politicians or anybody in the public eye now is so freaked out that they're going to be seen and go viral, like if they overreact or they don't know how to handle the situation. So I could tell she was probably highly annoyed, but decided I'm not going to say or do anything that's going to come back to bite me. So then she tried to just continue as if nothing was wrong. Clearly nobody could hear her speaking. And she tried to read through it and then paused. And then
she wasn't done with her speech before he asked a question.
Yes. And he said, before my phone goes off again,
because going on silent's impossible.
A third time.
Oh, that is outstanding.
You have to
what a
watch
ringtone.
it. You have to watch it as well. I had multiple people sending that to me yesterday.
Goodness.
All right. Now, speaking of Fox 2 colleagues, Tim, Andy
now you got
Banker.
Andy Banker on the Missouri gaming situation, December 1st.
And by the way, Jackson, from now on, if you could clip that, I'll use it as when I'm going to talk about a Fox 2 colleague. Can I just have the warning?
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked Andy what we talked about earlier.
That the Missouri sports gambling will not start until December 1st, which is the absolute last day per the legislation that was approved by voters in November that it can.
And I said, for clarity, is it possible the deal and all of it could be done before December 1st? And he said, yes. Said has to be done by December 1st because of the law. Gaming Commission just started taking the applications for licenses. Review period will last until August 30th. Then they issue licenses after that. He said, I think it's happening in September.
Oh, wow.
This is his opinion. He said, one issue is that all of the licenses must be issued at the same time. So everyone launches together, nobody gets a head start.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he screenshotted from the official Missouri website. The application period for all licenses is May 15th, Applications for the 2 available direct mobile licenses are due by July 15th. So I guess they've got a 2-month window here. Applicants for direct mobile licenses shall have an opportunity to appear before the commission on August 13th. More information on this will be provided. That's from the Gaming Commission. So the direct mobile licenses are FanDuel and DraftKings. Presumably somebody else may be involved. But the licenses are tied to the 6 pro sports teams and then the Missouri casinos. But anyway, in short, December 1st is the latest, obviously. He thinks, and he's been following this closely.
That is great to hear.
That it'll be sooner.
Outstanding news there. And he has been following it, like you said.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's for sure, but his understanding of it is that it could be sooner.
All right. Well, that's great. Outstanding news. I would think that that's the case. Like, you can't miss out on the football season. Well, that's great news. Tip of the cap there. Tip of the cap to Andy Banker with the reporting. And he texted you that just now?
Yeah, just a little bit. Now I have people texting me asking for that Elliott clip.
That's the one they're interested in.
For themselves. Because he had a phone that, Jackson, you can't turn phones off.
No.
And you can't turn the volume down either.
Or answer the call.
It could be an Olympic sport of your phone going off in a meeting and how quickly can you turn it off in a panic. Yeah, you could have a real...
It would seem like
Elliot Davis would not have finished first.
Almost instantly.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you hit the side button on your phone and it'll turn off.
Because most people have it in their hands or in their pocket, maybe.
Guys, before I get another call and disrupt everything, let me interrupt you and ask my own question. Is Wild AF, that's from Nordique, a hockey elephant?
Yeah. Still haven't nailed that down.
Hockey elephant.
There's a lot going on there.
There it is, Mark.
Separate housekeeping, Tim. I was texting about the NBA with Jackson last night.
Oh, yeah? You were watching OKC, and they weren't able to close it out.
But I was primarily concerned with the Nuggets uniform.
5280.
Bad.
Just
horrible.
Looks stupid. Maybe
I
Tuesday.
Jackson's with you on that.
Maybe a Tuesday in January, just a random game. Hey, we're
not when you're fighting for your lives.
Alternate jersey night, sure. Playoff time, wear the uniform. Yes. Wear your uniform.
I don't.
So stupid.
I like the uniform. I think sometimes Denver sports or Denver in general gets a little too caught up with the Mile High City thing. Like, it's, it's cool, but 5280, like you're like, it's a little too much winking at the
yes, it is.
Winking. But I agree with Martin wholeheartedly. In the playoffs, home and away jerseys, and that's it. Maybe an alternate on the road. You wear like your black jersey on the road, fine. But at home, wearing a jersey that doesn't say Denver or the Nuggets on it,
They're trying to be too cool here.
I like the uniform itself, but not in that moment.
And the NFL for years has been just... They are extreme on their uniform policy.
Sure. Protect the shield.
And you guys have all been at games Sundays 2 hours before the game. Somebody's walking around with a notepad. And for many years for the Rams, Willard Harrell, who played for the Big Red, a running back, and I think an insurance guy, but he would work for the NFL on Sundays. And he would literally, with a notepad, walk around while guys are stretching. And you'd see them like, oh, man, and like pulling their stirrups up.
Yeah, you got to connect your tights to your pants.
Everything was, and I think it's a great idea. I think the NBA is just out of control. But and granted, I know they're trying to be a little bit woke at times, but you'll turn a game on and the
Jackson just laughed at you and you didn't even catch it.
But the jersey will just say...
That's an important moment in the Alliance's history.
You turn on the TV, hey, who's playing? And the jersey will just say love, peace. And I'm like, I'm sorry, is this the Knicks, the Sixers, the Celtics? What the hell's going on here?
Love. I do think the biggest problem the NBA has is letting teams wear whatever color they want. Like, home team wear white, away team wear solid color, just so you know who's who in a way. Because it is sometimes gets a little. Sometimes they'll let like dark blue play against light blue, and that's just kind of an assault on the eyeballs.
And it's hard for those who have black and white televisions at home.
Sure, right. And we have to think about those people.
That's the demographic. New burner in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat by the name of Flight, and he's not happy with the program.
Ooh, nice.
When are you guys going to start talking about how the fans need to fill up Busch this summer instead of giving the brain-dead fans mad at management more airtime? That's from Flight, Doug Newburner in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat.
Oh, we've talked about the attendance quite a bit on this here show. And I'm all in favor of it. I'm in favor of attendance.
Iggy is in the YouTube chat, and he says, question, how many times a day does Martin text Jackson?
That's day dependent, I would say.
I'd say we're about 2 to 3.
It's usually a text might come in about first in the morning. You text me that you're awake.
5:36 a.m. first text.
Yeah,
and usually like a mid-afternoon idea.
Yeah, like surprise guest this time, or maybe I'll reach out to this person, or this person's gonna come on, and then sometimes a uniform take on a random basis.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
There you go. We'll take your YouTube chat questions.
Doug? It's like a QFTA
It's an open
breaking
phone
out
line
here.
Friday, Tim, and we've talked to Chairman Steve. That's it. This was open phone line Friday.
Well, they're there. It's just I kind of judge based on what Chairman Kurt tells me about the caller as to whether or not the caller gets on the air. Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design, air, heating, and cooling email today coming up in an hour. This is TMA, and it's presented to you by Brian and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
In the market for a new car, AutoLoanPro.com is the website. Anyone could sell you a car, but it takes a pro to do it right, whether it's little or no money down, whatever the credit history is. AutoLoan Pro is going to get you into that new vehicle. They'll work hard to get you that best rate possible. They work with over 50 different lenders trying to find you the best financing possible. Making a large purchase can get complicated. The AutoLoan Pro explains it to you while also helping you get back on track. And that website has the free playbook. You download that playbook, read about it, understand how the credit industry works. So you're buying this car. Next time around, maybe a different car. Learn how it works at AutoLoanPro.com. There's only one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. So again, whatever your circumstance, check out their website. Robert Thomas, friend of the show, right there on the site. Find out more online at AutoLoanPro.com. Auto Loan Pro is part of the Lita family.
Oh, Doug, I don't know how to handle it. It's Radio Wars, and we're fighting it on two fronts with two really popular shows. And now Rafe from the Riz Show, who I thought was a friend, Martin. Mm-hmm. Well, he's launched another attack after Learn launched one earlier this week against Jackson, and Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter launched one on us on our western border on the fast lane, and now Rafe doubled down. We have the audio from the Riz Show this morning. Chairman Kurt, you say this is fine audio, sir?
Depending on your definition of fine, I don't really like what I hear, but...
Oh, no.
Sitting good.
All right.
This just into the desk.
In fact, we angered a specific Jackson here in the building, even though I did try to defend him off camera. He went at us. That's Jackson down at TMA, and I believe we have an audio clip.
I'm so sick of the name Jackson. I'm just sick of it.
The Jackson Wars have begun.
He calls me out.
He calls
me out personally.
Okay.
I want to know he made this personal before I go on.
Rafe, I talked to Rafe Williams, who's also on the Riz
And is
Show.
a delight.
And is a delight.
And you don't like him because you hated Rafe LaFrance.
Oh, yeah. Rafe, I was talking to Learn about it, and Rafe goes, oh, yeah, she said that. I came right to your defense when I said, liar. I heard the audio. He didn't say a word.
Did he really tell you that?
Yeah, he's like, what about our boy down the hall? He's like, I defended you immediately. Wrong. He didn't say a word.
And that's the problem with Radio Wars now, Doug, is we have the audio, and now it's just going to be...
You don't have the video. And on the video, I clearly gave Learn a look, pointed down the hallway, and said, what about Jackson? I mouthed the words. That's fine. You want to start a war, kid? Well, wars come to your front steps. So R.I.P.
We're in a radio war now?
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this.
Sorry.
Ladies are back.
Neutral territory
here.
Load up the cannons.
Oh, no.
We're all... You can't sit this one out.
King Scott, get the trebuchets, point them down the hallway, TMA Studios, as we say goodbye to Jackson Bennett Burkett. That's right. His middle name is Bennett. I looked it up. I got the info. Jackson Bennett Burkett.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Bennett, let off some steam.
Boy, they are really giving you the business.
It's tough.
We got Radio Wars on two fronts, and I don't know if we can handle it.
I like their production value.
I
did a shot at Jackson's?
I mean, I defended you when I just said that.
That's true. Yeah, if you look at the camera. Yeah.
If you look at the camera.
Yeah, that was good. Rafe's funny, man. That's good stuff. Okay. I like how Moon tried sitting it out, and Riz said, no, we're all involved here. No one's sitting it out. Radio Wars, they're very real, you know?
Well, Doug, how do we handle it? They went after our little Jackie Papers.
They're not going to start punching us or anything, are they?
I mean, there's 5 of them, 5 of us. We just go man on man. And
like an Anchorman? Yeah. West Mantooth?
West Mantooth.
Who do you want, Doug?
Oh, I've probably handled 3 or 4 of them.
What do you say we round up the gang and meet right around 92.3? You tell them, come on out to WIL territory, and we'll whip their ass.
Hell yeah.
If they don't like that, keep going. Meet us at the Arch.
It's probably better that we fight them as compared to the fast lane, former athletes, bigger folks.
You think it's ever happened anywhere where people really did get in brawls?
Yes.
Opposing radio stations really did duke it out somewhere? No. I bet it hasn't.
What about on the same radio station?
Well, we know that's happened for sure.
But maybe person on person, but like a whole show fighting another show.
Yeah. Like an Anchorman.
Yeah, like some sort of turf war.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened.
Probably.
It'd be really weird if one minute you're like, you run the board for some show, and the next they hand you a club and they say, all right, we're going to war.
Yeah.
Somebody referenced Rafi Furcal, not Rafe, but Rafi Furcal, former Cardinal.
Yeah, Happy Flight lived above me during the 2011 season.
Is that right?
Yeah.
He was fun to deal with. Happy Flight and all. But he was arrested yesterday, and I read the story, and it left you needing to know more. Former Major League shortstop Rafael Furcal, facing felony charges in South Florida. Former All-Star turned himself into the Broward County Jail on Wednesday. Released on bail a short time later, he is charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and throwing a missile into a public of private dwelling or vehicle.
That's what was very confusing.
Charged with throwing a missile into a public or private dwelling or vehicle.
I read another story that explained it. Under Florida law, a rock can be considered a missile.
Oh, okay.
And Vercall is claiming that some guy put his hand up to him to try to touch him or attack him or whatever, and he hit him with a rock or something. And so the rock counts as a missile under Florida law.
Okay, well, Doug, good on you.
Very good on you.
For deciphering that. Bad on, well, I can't say ESPN.com. That's the mothership. I'll never do that. But the story that was first put out there, maybe don't write a story saying a man threw a missile.
Yeah. That's right. I was going to say, when I read it, I was like, where did he acquire a missile?
Was he in Honduras?
Where do you buy a missile?
It sounded like he had a shoulder harness laws rocket. And he was going to take out an airplane or something.
The little Bruce Coburn homage. The rocket
just
launcher.
a rock, apparently.
Yeah. That's the clarification. An important one for our friend Happy Flight. Martin, it's time for onboarding. And
Friday's a big day.
Friday's always a big day.
We actually review drops of the week. And I'm already going to walk in saying it's an A+. So
Jackson.
That'll get me out of there early today.
Oh, beautiful.
10 o'clock hour coming your way with the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. It's TMA 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update. It's driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Looking around the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Last night, the Hurricanes defeat the Capitals, and they win that series as they head to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the Jets defeat the Stars last night to stave off elimination 4-0. Dallas still leads that series 3-2 as it heads back to Texas. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me? Now that's a yakety sax. Right
There you go, Doug. Now you like it. Now you like it. It's TMA 101 ESPN and the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat where Tiny PP is in there talking about raccoons and Bill's Holes is talking to Chief J Strongblow and John Scores. So get in there, Doug, and you can talk about it over with them.
Well.
ESPN has just released their ranking for the best coaches in college football for 2025. Their college football writers got together, and they ranked them, Doug, 1 through 10, and then there's also others receiving votes.
Okay.
Who would you like to guess is number one?
Probably the guy at Georgia, Kirby Smart.
That's right.
I guess.
Kirby Smart is number one. You're on a heater. Would you like to try to double your money?
Oh, let's see. Who's always good? Ohio State's pretty good. How about Ryan Day at Ohio State? Okay.
Do you want to take a chance on another? I'm going to tell you this. I think this one 5 years ago you would have guessed. But now you might be surprised he's number 3. That's as much of a hint as I think I can give you.
5 years ago, I would have guessed, but now I'm surprised he's number 3.
That's right.
That's all the hint I'm going to give you.
That's right.
How about Dabo Swinney?
Yes!
Really?
I feel like we're playing $25,000 pub.
Okay.
Number 4.
Did you say 4?
Certainly rose to prominence in the 2024 campaign.
Okay, the Notre Dame coach. I would mention his name, but it's too obvious.
Marcus Freeman.
Well, that's right. Sure. Yeah.
Number 5, I think, is probably stands to reason.
Number 5. Did you say the 5th?
Yep.
Let's see. Who's always good? Who's always good? You said number 5, didn't you?
I did.
How about Sarkisian?
Yes!
Jesus.
Really?
This is no BS.
I've never seen Doug just
You're
hammer
loving
like
guessing
this.
games.
Huh.
This gentleman hasn't been at his particular institution all that long, but has performed year in and year out.
Has he really? And you would say this is number 6.
I would.
How about Franklin at Penn State?
No, I'm sorry.
Good guess, though.
Yeah, it's not a bad guess at all, but no, I'm sorry.
Can I have initials?
James Franklin's number 8, so I think...
Okay. Can I have initials for 7?
DL.
DL. Don Luigi?
Nope.
Who's he coach for? David Lewiston? Damian Lewis is now coaching?
Oh, that's Bobby Axelrod.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dick
Also is the
Blazinski?
Rams, one of many first-round draft picks in 2001. Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning. Oh, yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Number 7.
He is on the hot seat.
He's on the hot seat. Number 7 is, man, that seat is hot. Whew, it's warm. Gosh, it's warm. How about the Michigan coach? They lost again to Ohio State.
They beat Ohio State.
That's
why
right.
Ryan Day was about to lose his job, if you remember.
Okay.
Takes move quickly.
Yes, they do. I'm going to need initials again.
KDB.
KDB. Kerry Davidson Barrymore.
Kevin De Bruyne, Belgian soccer player.
Oh.
Kalen DeBoer is correct.
Okay.
You already said James Franklin.
Yes.
Number 9, you'll never guess.
No.
Kyle Whittingham at Utah.
Wouldn't have got that one.
And number 10, I don't think you would guess either. Matt Campbell at Iowa State.
Okay.
Others receiving votes, Brian Kelly. He's from Boston, but talks with a southern dialect now and grinds on recruits. He was 11. Bill Belichick
He got in despite having not coached a game yet.
Number 12, Kurt Signetti. Number 13,
Where's
Lance
Drinkwitz?
Leopold. Then Jeff Monken at Army. Jeff Brome at Louisville. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. That's Jackson's
Kenny
guy.
D.
Lane Kiffin at Hottie Toddy. I'm surprised he wasn't up more. I would have thought he would have been up more.
The Army guy being up.
Deion Sanders. Josh Heupel. Rhett Lashley.
Where's Drink?
Chris Kleiman at K-State and Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, which is a little odd to me, to be honest with you, and that rounds it out.
That was how many? 20 or 21? Or 20 or 25?
25.
And Drinkwitz didn't get in the top 25.
That's correct.
He's a little too much substance, not enough flash. He doesn't care about the list.
No.
Dan is not a jackass.
Okay. But this is just some random guy's list.
It's ESPN college football writers.
Okay. Okay. I guess we got to fill up the website somehow, right? What that's about?
I think it's mainly about being able to put Bill Belichick on the outside looking in of Kyle Whittingham as a college football coach. I think that's mainly what it's about.
I mean, the top 5 is pretty rock solid, but maybe in all honesty, who cares? But
is there still a chance he doesn't end up coaching a game?
No, I think he'll.
No, I think his wife will make him.
The girlfriend?
It's not the wife yet. Just a girlfriend. Well, yeah, she'll have the final say on that.
Clip Doug grunting off. Thanks. That's from the Average Size Shabangas.
Bob in Manhattan. What's up, Bob?
Hello, Bob.
Yes, Bob.
Yes, I wanted to talk about Tom Brady, and I also wanted to talk about Phillip Rivers.
Well, go ahead.
I also wanted to talk about Carson Wentz and Drew Brees, Andrew Luck.
I get rid of him.
Yeah, I get rid of him. Yeah.
Doug, see, the phone lines are poison no matter where you go.
How long do you think he would have let him go?
That was a recent Ivy League graduate calling from somewhere on Wall Street.
Like, if he never stopped, would he go like back to Johnny Unitas, Bart Starr?
It's TMA. It's presented by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN. Unfortunately, the Winnipeg Jets were not vanquished last night for our Schadenfreude. And at the end of the game, what is a tradition at this point in the Stanley Cup playoffs? If you are getting shipped, you then just start fighting. Darren Pang was on the call of it. Pete DeBoer gave his thoughts following it. We'll have that for you coming up. It's TMA 101 ESPN. The music theme for Jackson Burkett here on Friday, May 16th, 2025, Doug, is Yakety Saxes.
Okay. Didn't Bill Clinton play the sax on the David Letterman show?
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall?
That's where it was.
It's TMA 101 ESPN, and Doug, last night in the Winnipeg Jets game, which I turned on for about 5 seconds, and I thought, I still can't watch games in Winnipeg.
Really?
I can't get it. I'm just not there. I don't know what to tell you. But that was at the end of it, and the boys were scrapping. Well, I guess when I watched highlights, the boys were scrapping. The game was not over when I turned it on last night. But I saw highlights on SportsCenter this morning, and the boys were scrapping. That tends to happen in a blowout game as the series goes along. And Darren Pang was up in Manitoba, and he was on the call.
First, he kind of stopped him there, kind of blocked him right. Oh, boy, he just popped him. Linesman went down. Did he get a...
Ben pops Scheifele, who's now incensed, trying to get back at him, but he's wrestled down to the ice.
Well, that's where you got to be careful. Emotions can get the best of you. Ben got a big shot in, and Scheifele, that's right in front of you, Banger.
Yeah.
Because a little slap shot at the end.
Wonderful sounder.
Jamie Benn getting a little rough.
Yeah, right when Panger says, oh, he popped him, he got Scheifele clean right across the face.
And he's been hit enough already.
Yeah.
I kind of don't like it at the end of games when teams, they know they've hopelessly lost this game and they start fighting every time there's a whistle. Every time there's something in front of the goalie, they start pushing him. It gets to be a little much at times.
Do you consider performative?
Yes, I kind of do.
Here's what Pete DeBoer had to say.
Hit the lever, pal.
Yeah, timing's everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, it's an emotional series. You play, this time of year against one team, there gets to be a little bit of hate out there. That's okay.
At least we know when it's over.
That one for a quicker clip.
A little bit of hate. I get it. But sometimes I think they do it just to kind of show everyone, look, I'm really mad. We're losing. I'm mad. I'm going to go hit somebody who's just standing there. It's a little much.
Tim, we talk fiduciary responsibility to
That's
families.
correct. Oh, you have a play for us?
Doesn't it seem like you would, and all of us would have a fiduciary responsibility to bet the Stars in Game 6?
It strikes me as so obvious that I would roll back maybe at about 20% of what I would normally play, because it does strike me as so obvious that the Stars would win.
Right.
On either Saturday or Sunday in Dallas. Connor Hellebuck's road issues. For the record, the Stars are minus 155 for the game tomorrow night in Dallas.
Maybe pair that up with a Knicks win tonight. Paid off there. Parlay it up. Obviously, you're taking some more risks there, but I think the Stars and the Knicks win tonight. Knicks tonight, Stars. Is that game Saturday? Saturday.
And the Panthers are minus 230 to wrap things up tonight for Craig Berube and the Leafs, Doug. Okay. I think Kachuk will go back to the Eastern Conference Final.
I don't want to see that. I'm on the record as pulling for the Maple Leafs.
After that shellacking, you'd have to think they're going to be coming out with some...
I would have to think so.
Got to pat the cat the wrong way.
I would have to think so. I would have to think so. I tend to... the number that I actually like in that game is the over of 5.5.
5.5?
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I think there's going to be I cannot imagine that Toronto does not have a big response. And it sets it up, if they can't execute it, you're getting 2-1 on your money if you bet the Leafs. They're plus 190. If you want to play, fine, I'll give you a play for Friday. It's for Friday. I'll do it. Cubs, White Sox over 11. Cubs, White Sox over 11. It's the day start. I need you to get it in here to your high school bookie.
All right.
Within the next couple hours, because it's, early start time in Chicago. Cubs, White Sox over. Do with it what you want. Listen, if you don't play it, it doesn't affect my life.
Is that north side or south side?
It's on the north side.
Okay.
Do with it what you want, Doug.
Right. Do it and make some money and maybe tend to that air conditioner that's not working just right. Because when it comes to heating and cooling, you trust the name that's been around longer than all of us, and that's Design Air Heating and Cooling. Proudly serving the area since 1904, more than a century of keeping homes comfortable and the customers happy. They're not just another HVAC company. They are the longest-running sponsor on TMA, and that loyalty says a lot. At the helm, Seth Goldcamp, the name you can trust, leading a team that truly values integrity. At Design Air, they believe in honest work. You will never be sold anything you don't need, whether you're dealing with the St. Louis heat or the cold in the winter. They've got your back with dependable service and no-pressure solutions. Visit designairservice.com and schedule your service today. Design Air, comfort you can count on since 1904, and now home of the handsome repairman.
Design Air, heating and cooling sponsor. The email of the day, TMA 101 ESPN, presented to you by Brown & Crouppen. ESPN and Doug, in the 9 o'clock hour, I talked about the snake situation I have at my home. Currently on the PGA Championship, there is a snake in the middle of a fairway that is making its way across Quail Hollow's fairway as a staff member is lightly kicking it to get it to move past the golf ball of a player who is waiting to strike it. Doug, you like to identify species of snakes. What can you tell the audience about this snake?
Yeah, spitting cobra. Nobody's safe. No one is safe.
What do you think, about 3 feet long on that guy?
No, he's longer than that.
Yeah, I'd say longer than that.
Yeah, and some people act like it's no big deal, and others terrified, of course. I'm in the terrified camp. So the staff member is just going to stand guard over the snake.
He's just kind of like kicking its tail to get it to move.
Oh, no, there's another. That's a turtle.
Now it's in the water, but I think that might be a turtle.
Is it bad form to wear golf shoes when it being just a fan of the golf tournament? I see people getting made fun of for that, but I think if they're comfortable,
I think you can do that.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit better.
I'm wearing golf shoes,
footing.
but I'm also planning on playing.
Right. But like if it's comfortable and you get a little bit more better footing, I don't know.
Probably less likely to slip on some grass or if you're
And now
standing on a hill or something.
Right. And golf shoes now, they're most like a lot of times there's sneakers that they throw the removable spikes into. So it's not even like, it's not the days gone by where they're hefty leather wingtips.
Oh yeah, with the metal
clickety
spikes that would trash the greens and everything.
Right.
Yeah, I think you can get away with that.
Your leader down there in Quail Hollow is Jonathan Vegas. He is 7 under par, even for the day. And Ryan Gerard is in second place. Max Homa has had a huge day. A guy who's really struggled this year. He's at 4 under par. J.J. Spawn, who took Rory McIlroy to a playoff in the Players, is also at 4 under, and Aaron Rai, he who wears 2 gloves, is 4 under par. The likely cut for those of you who would be in the category of a degenerate gambler with me is currently per data golf +2. That's 58.4% to be +2. +1 is 29.2. That's of note because Rory McIlroy, the heavy favorite going into this, along with Scotty Scheffler, is at +3. And that's going to make it one hell of a story when Min-Woo Lee comes back to win this thing, Doug.
I don't know if he's going to.
And he is currently +3 as he gets ready to go out and do some ball striking in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of note, from a statistical standpoint, Scotty Scheffler is 5 strokes back, and yet he is the heavy favorite as of right now to win the tournament still. Per data golf, he has a 16.2% chance of winning the tournament. And if you are looking to live bet the PGA Championship, he is +400. And once again, the man is 5 strokes back of the lead with about 15 golfers in between him and the leader, Jonathan Vegas.
That's probably a bet to stay away from, I would think.
+340 now.
Just because he's the best in the world right now does not mean he's going to win every tournament.
That is the logic of the sharp daily fantasy sports players. Fade Scheffler, fade McIlroy, and if one of them wins, then you deal with it. But otherwise, with people putting those guys on 25, 30% of your rosters, you immediately have an advantage on 25, 30% of the field. Bryson DeChambeau, for the record, is in the mix as well, and he is second at +750. And Bryson DeChambeau is out on the golf course, and he is sitting at 2 under par. So 2 guys who are 5 strokes back are the 2 top favorites as of right now down at the PGA Championship. This topic has certainly gotten a lot of attention over the last 48 hours, and that is Pete Rose and the Hall of Fame. And his attorney was on... What show was this on? I saw it in my TikTok feed.
This was on Foul Territory.
Foul Territory, okay. Talking about Pete Rose and his situation with Rob Manfred about reinstating his eligibility.
What do you do as a lawyer, agent, when your client kept shooting himself in the foot with some of the things he was saying and doing? Did you ever just want to grab Pete and say, dude, just stop talking, stop doing things to not help your cause?
AJ, I think you were in many rooms with me. It sounds like you were on a spy. You were on a spy camera or something.
That's right. I'm in one of those balls behind you.
Yeah. I did it physically and in person many times. It's very difficult. You know, what made Pete great was his headstrong, unique, I'm going to put everything on the field. But once you get to know a GOAT like that, you realize that they became who they are, and they are outliers different than any human beings on earth because they have a singular different approach to life. And Pete's approach was, you know, if someone triggered him, he fought back. You know, he grew up on sort of the poorer side of Cincinnati, and he had to struggle a lot. So to him, I don't think he ever escaped him being the blue-collar guy that when you're pushed, you fight back. The one thing Pete wasn't really good at, which a lot of folks are, he wasn't good at being political.
Hashtag it. Mm-hmm.
Catch that right there at the end.
Well, I know it's late. I know it's not a perfect situation for him, but I hope he gets in.
Well, he's getting in. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get in. Shocked if he doesn't get in. I'm not necessarily saying like now.
I hope he does.
But within the next 5 years, oh my goodness, I'd bet everything I have in honor of Pete Rose.
He came before my time. Who's a contemporary player that you would compare Pete Rose's game to?
Jeez. I don't know. Is there anybody?
There's not a whole lot of slap hitters anymore.
Right.
Leadoff hitters content for the single.
When I think of Pete Rose, I think of the Ray Fosse. Was that those two? The collision at the plate?
Yeah.
That's the highlight I think of. The guy is the all-time hits leader, and I think of a collision in an all-star game.
That's kind of the way he played, barreling into people and sliding head first all the time and diving for balls. And he was a really fun guy to watch.
I'm trying to think of anyone even in the 21st century who could compare.
It's hard to come up with a comparison.
Scrappy, cocky, slap hitter. I mean, nonstop motor like Rudy Rudiger.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if any Cardinal comes to
from
mind.
the 314 Ichiro. What do you about that?
Maybe from like a hit standpoint, but certainly not personality, right?
Pete Rose played like a blue-collar type of player. Ichiro, I think, is a white-collar guy. He was kind of an elegant player.
Yeah, graceful.
Rose was not.
Right. Rough around the edges.
They hit similarly.
Weird hair on Pete Rose, right?
Yeah.
Oh, if you bring up the rat tail.
Well, the rat tail, but he would also have seemed like very large,
thick hair,
voluptuous sides of his hair that would come out of the hat. Kind of looked funny. Probably long sideburns.
Mm-hmm. I think Rose might have been more like a modern-day Ty Cobb type of guy.
Somebody in the text inbox says Bryce Harper, but without the power. Is there anything to that with Harper's?
They just seem like completely different players to me. Harper swings for the fences all the time.
Yeah, it's tough to separate.
Rose almost never did.
Harper.
I don't know.
Gene Steckschulte texting into the program. No, Gene Steckschulte is
a pitcher. Yeah, probably not him.
No, the text name is the Gene Steckschulte's Wicked Slide Piece. Says Craig Biggio. How about that?
I was going to say Biggio just because it hits, but wasn't Biggio just kind of like a quiet guy?
As far as personality goes, they couldn't be more opposite. I remember going into, you saw this firsthand too, Doug. And by the way, good on them. I don't blame them. It's not like when we're sitting around hanging out, we're talking about the show. I don't know if we ever talk about the show. So it's weird if you go into a major league clubhouse, which I realize might sound counterintuitive, and the guys are talking about baseball, which I realize sounds ridiculous. But if you're hanging out with people you work with, you don't, sit there and break down the sales reports when you're sitting around your buddy. You know what I mean?
It's one of my favorite office scenes when they have a party at gyms and all they can talk about is the different kinds of paper they sell.
So I go into the Astros clubhouse one time, and this was still kind of, it might have been 98 when the Cardinals were playing the Astros, and I was in town for KOMU from Columbia, and still, I guess, had an idealistic view of what major league clubhouses were like as a fan. And I go over to Craig Biggio, and he's reading Baseball America. Everybody else is kind of playing slap and tickle.
Sure.
And he just was a baseball guy through and through. I think Rose was consumed with baseball also, obviously, but I don't think that Biggio and Rose's personalities were similar on the field. But from a hitter's standpoint, yeah, I would say.
Similar player today might be Brendan Donovan. Plays all over the field, slaps the ball around, makes contact.
A lot of people are saying Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah.
There's been a couple Chase Utleys.
Yeah, Chase Utley. He would pet the cat the wrong way.
Yeah, he sure would.
He would slide in real. I saw a highlight of friend of the show, Matt the Bat, with one of his late slides that I forgot about a while ago, and I couldn't imagine a worse player to get late slid by than Matt Holliday. I think that might end me.
Cardinals had a player in the 90s, Rex Hudler, who kind of had the Pete Rose thing about him. He'd run through a wall and dive and fall. And
is he still working with the Royals?
I think so. He wasn't as good as Rose. Not many are. Not many have ever been. But he kind of played with that same sort of energy.
Tim down at fantasy camp?
Very similar. You didn't get hurt, did you, Tim?
No, I wanted to make sure I was safe for golf season.
Yeah.
That's what all the greats do, though.
That's right.
Pete Rose was the ultimate red ass. His style is missing in today's athlete. That's from the Warson Woods at Wacko.
Yeah, he'd be considered a real hot dog, and he was at the time, because when he walked, he'd sprint to first base on a walk. And he barreled into people breaking up double plays. They don't let you do that anymore. He barreled into catchers. They don't let you do that anymore. So in a way, you can't play that way anymore.
Yeah. But also, I feel like we always say stuff like that, or people say stuff like that, where it's like, oh, we need more of this in the game. And when someone does it in the game, they get exactly called a hot dog or, they get chastised.
It was weird to see him sprint to first base on a walk. That's why they call him Charlie Hustle.
Wouldn't Ty Cobb do that and then round the base and take second?
I missed some of Ty Cobb's career.
Well, I thought when you first started in journalism, you were on.
He was like in his second year, but he played in Detroit, so I didn't get to see a lot of his games.
But Rochester, Minnesota, just a hot jump.
Close, close. I was there covering Harmon Killebrew with the Twins.
Send your emails in, Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Doug, that we've welcomed people to call into the program on the Collier and Thompson phone lines. You know anything about Collier and Thompson?
I do. Collier and Thompson is the place to go if you need anything done in your house. Not many of us live in the perfect house. You want to expand your kitchen, update your bathrooms. Maybe it's not financially feasible because if you move, your 2%, 3%, 4% interest rate on the mortgage is going to jump way up. Well, for those of you in this situation, that's when Carolyn Beard and Bob Strati and the team at Collier and Thompson come in handy. They are a great solution. You may not have to redo the whole kitchen. Just do part of it. Just new cabinets, appliances. If you just need one appliance, they do it great there, too. That's what I did at Collier & Thompson. I got me a microwave oven, and I just absolutely love it. Collier & Thompson is a place you can go and you can trust. The people are going to be in your home for a while they do the work. You want to make sure they show up on time, that they're professionals, that they're guys who've done this before. That's where Collier & Thompson really shines. They are definitely a company you can trust to do it right. All their carpenters and subcontractors take care of a customer's home the same as if it was their own. It's a business that's been around since the 1950s. They have more than 165 years of combined experience now. They won't be the cheapest. They also won't be the most expensive. They'll be right there in the sweet spot where you're getting a fantastic product at a fair price. They have a real deep showroom, more than 10,000 square feet with more than 20 kitchen displays, too. You can go there and get some good ideas. Collier & Thompson on Manchester and Baldwin next to Uncle Bill's Pancake House. Come home to quality online at collierandthompson.com.
All right, we have the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day coming up. The program is called TMA. It's presented by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Michael's Flooring, family-owned and operated, going back more than 3 decades. Online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com. That's Michael's Flooring at igotfloored.com. Michael takes pride in helping and making sure his employees are happy and make a great living. Go online, and right now you can get 3 samples free from Proximity Mills. That's from Michael's Flooring at igotfloored.com. Michael's Passions Flooring. When you order from him, he wants you to have the best experience for the best price. That's why he's making sure he gets the best installers and giving them $7 a square yard, which is incredible compensation in this industry. If you're interested, go to igotfloored.com. Just come in or talk to them. You're going to see the difference. They want to make sure they suggest the best thing for you, not pushing what corporate's telling them they have too much of. There's a reason he's continued to grow through the 31 years. Employees love working for him as they feel like family, and he makes sure they are taken care of, and this then rubs off to the families buying the products as they know they have the best interests of the buyers at heart. They have it all, but Carpet's awesome, and it's back. They have so many varieties of all flooring and have 3 easy-to-get-to locations in St. Louis and Creve Coeur, Darden Prairie, and St. Peter's. Come see why people are loving getting floored by Michael, and make sure you visit igotfloored.com.
This is Jackson with the Sports Center update. That's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals are in Kansas City tonight, taking on the Royals. That's going to be a 6:40 first pitch with Andre Palante on the mound for the Cardinals. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back. Morning After 101 ESPN and the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat at youtube.com/TMASTL. Little Jackie Papers, what's on your itinerary for the weekend?
Oh, good question, Tim. What's on
where's
the
the
itinerary?
call? Really
How many
question.
hosts, honestly, number one, could ask that question, and number two, have the courage to ask that question?
Or the intellect.
It was the latter.
You ask someone, what are you doing this weekend? That's a brilliant question.
It was the latter that really inspired me, the courage to ask.
Thank you.
Today, possible ball striking. I guess weather dependent, maybe ball striking. And then
St. Louis or Log?
Probably St. Louis. After I heard Chairman say he drove at 290, that sounds like a challenge. So I'll probably try to outdrive him on that hole.
That's a big hit. That's a big hit.
That's a nice piece.
For a weekend warrior, that's a huge hit.
Sounds like you're calling BS. That's what it sounds like. I'm just telling you that's what it sounds like.
Big hit.
You don't want to go up against Chairman Steve. I mean, he has been a listener of the year.
Yeah, I know.
And then we got Knicks Celtics tonight, so I'll be tuned into that. And then tomorrow, hang out with my girlfriend, probably outside. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. Sunday, take it easy. Pretty low-key week. This word's coming up on, as you know, with Sweet Sweet Guys and my buddy Pete's wedding season. So weekends where I don't have something like that and can save money and kind of just lay low, I like to do that.
And then you're going to the lake next weekend?
No, probably.
What happened?
Yeah, I know. Because my number one place on earth I want to be on Memorial Day is Lake of the Ozarks. And
that didn't seem
sarcasm there, Doug.
No,
it
sucks.
Sarcasm. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Sucks that I can't be there. But, I'm probably laked out for the rest of the year. One weekend will do it.
Jeez.
A good weekend. I enjoy the lake.
Did you get in? You
No,
weren't gonna
absolutely
get in.
not.
Yeah.
All right. Doug, what's on your itinerary?
I've got a wedding to go to tomorrow.
Are you performing the vows there like you are at the Plowhawks?
No, I am not. That's about it for this weekend, I think.
Chairman, you shipping up to Boston?
Nope, I'll be here. I got to be here Sunday, get my son back. We do the drop-off this Sunday.
Oh, the
Son being
dog.
the dog.
The dog.
Okay.
Son,
so you drive to go get it?
No, he'll be delivered.
Oh, gosh.
Which is good.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm excited to sleep in for a couple of days.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I need some more sleep.
Usually by Friday afternoon, I just feel like an empty vessel.
An empty vessel.
Yeah,
I know. This program sucks the life out of you. It sucks the life out of the host. It sucks the life out of the listeners.
Done that to a lot of
Let's see
people.
what they have to say in the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Ow. Happy Friday, lads. I smell something, and for once, it's not Dan Jansen's desperation. No, this time it's the stench of forged identity. I hope my conspiracy theory is a farce, but after hearing the exquisite vocabulary of Mr. Jerry the Tank Del Vecchio, I can't help but think he sounds a lot like a legend of the show. I'm not alone in one of my conspiracies. My guy, the Big Show, is sniffing around as well. Have a weekend. Go Birds. That's from my cousin Vinny. So he's saying Mr. Jerry the Tank Del Vecchio is somebody else? I don't know what that means. I didn't follow the email entirely. Is that what it was?
I don't know.
I think so. I don't know how Vinny's going to do this to us going into the weekend.
My cousin Vinny.
Let's see what we got here. I don't have Tim's direct text line to message him, so I wanted to give him a shout out to the Schaefer Door Company. My springs gave out, and I give them's a call. Doug, do you like that?
I don't mind it.
I mean, it's folksy. And I give them's a call and says, Doug says you're the best. Now that I've given you a solid, I need your help. Much as like Schaefer Door is going to fix my garage door, I need Doug to fix my back door.
Okay. All right. Okay. Watch it.
It seems like it's getting a little graphic as I go.
All right. That's enough. Who was it, Tim?
Doug's ICE agent.
Doug's ICE agent. He's new, and he's also been suspended a period of 2 days' time. And since he's new, I'll go easy. I'll give him just a 10% tariff.
Only a 10% tariff.
10% tariff.
He actually did say, Doug, I know you'll want to suspend me and tariff me, so he kind of saw that one coming.
Okay. He must have wanted it.
Fell in love in a perfectly curated private chat room in a dark, dark corner of the internet again. You on a fan page heater. You've never seen the ball well, but your confidence is sky high. At Tim, would you flat call with his hand out of position? At KG, would love your take on the offseason Umsel moves. At Iggy, any inside info? Any inside info? My brother Iggy has posted 19 times today about a hobo table he shattered by leaning too hard and a podcast he refuses to listen to but still reviews. The man hasn't had a secret since he let himself get pissed on by the husband of the woman he dug out of the laser tag room at the Sharkle House. They have a laser tag room?
That's good. That's a nice little feature.
I thought they probably did.
You write things like, at Jackson Burkett, I also think Jordan Poole sucks. Jackson didn't ask. Jackson has never asked. Jackson is 19, drinks iced coffee and oat milk, the milk alternative, not another stupid nickname for a childhood friend. And would rather be journaling in silence in a spiritual retreat in Pigeon Forge with his bros knapsack, spacebar, and lint trap than get pinged by your fan theories. You tag Doug, then drop a, this show used to be about the listeners when no one likes your Ken Bone post. Doug doesn't even know he has Facebook. He thinks tag is the name of the new board app. You live for that like, that limp, pitiful emoji. The accidental thumbs up from Rockio when he sneezes while farting into his tuba and fat fingers your comment on a post about the weather. You screenshot it. You cherish it. You hang on to it like a wink from a hostage being held captive for ransom. Because when your name lights up the fan pin, the boys already know. It's 5 tags, no context, and an unsolicited blurry photo of a beer cup that gets ignored faster than an Iggy reply all pitching a go-to-market sales strategy targeting smoke-friendly apartment complexes. Me, I'm here for it. You're gritty, and I could use a seasoned inside sales rep like you on my team to build my pipeline and schedule some face-to-faces. That's from Big Tank Del Vecchio, media man acting like it.
Big Tank Del Vecchio. That kind of wore you out, didn't it?
It does take a little. You want to deliver the heat that is brought with the words.
Right.
Doug, that's what we have for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day.
Well,
the only question left is what you got.
There's really only one choice, and that's the Big Tank, Mr. Del Vecchio.
Yeah, tank season.
It has been tank season. It will remain tank season.
That makes it 5 wins and a dangerous 2-goal lead over the JV golf coach for Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio in the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the month standings. Nice win for Big Tank. This guy's gone on a real heater here in the last week and a half, and it's fun to see somebody execute like Jerry Big Tank Del Vecchio.
Has he told us that Jerry is his first name before?
Yeah,
Did I miss
Jerry
that?
Del Vecchio.
Okay.
Yeah, Big Tank. The buddy of mine named Spacebar is so funny. Spacebar.
Well, there's Oatmeal. There's Private Citizen Pete.
Private Citizen Pete. The Frog Dad.
Frog Dad, Doug.
Herb.
PCP.
Gareth. PCP. A decent amount. Ken Dog.
People are speculating. We're hearing from Big Tank every day, but no longer Buck Swope every day. Could they be one and the same?
No, I don't think so. Buck Swope still appears during some of the big tanks as well.
Yeah,
I don't think so. All right, BK and Ferrario are coming up next for Jackson Bennett Burkett, for Chairman Kurt, for Martin Kilcoyne, for my brother Kevin, for Douglas Sullivan, Vaughn, and Tim McKernan. This has been TMA, presented by Brendan Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.